What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2FM. Chapter 31 Marine Meeting Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. When we got back to Marineford, it was already dark, but unfortunately not many people could sleep that night. Except for the ghost spider who was carried to the hospital, everyone else gathered in the meeting room. Aokiji's situation was special, and he himself was struggling to attend the meeting. When everyone is here, the meeting will begin. I believe everyone knows the content of the meeting. Sengoku said and released a photo taken just now, which is exactly Luo Ning's. Sengoku, didn't you say to investigate this kid before? Did you find anything? Garp asked directly. He still remembered the reason why Luo Ning said before that he went to the deep sea prison. It has been found, and it is similar to the report you submitted. Speaking of this, Sengoku feels a toothache. He has already sent people to catch the marine there. Because of their face injustice, there are a lot of mobs in the marine. As a marshal, he has a lot to do, so naturally he can't do everything, and those guys in the local area are obedient, so that Marine's atmosphere is getting worse and worse. And his philosophy is that Marine is absolutely just, so no matter who provokes Marine, he will be in trouble, and the end will not be much better anyway. But this time, Sengoku found that his indulgence made these people kick a super iron plate. However, there are some strange things. This guy named Luo Ning suddenly appeared in this village a few years ago, and he behaved like a completely ordinary person afterwards. Even he's got no favors at the hands of these depraved Marines. However, I discussed it with Crane Vice Admiral, and I think he should be hiding his clumsiness. Maybe he just wants to live an ordinary life, but he got into trouble by those bastards. Sengoku said helplessly, in front of so many people, he naturally couldn't be called he Xiaohei like Garp, so the address is very formal. As for this guess, both he and he agreed. After all, the sudden increase in strength is unrealistic. Although they all guessed in this direction, they all abandoned this idea afterwards. In their cognition, no one can become stronger so quickly, not anyone, not even the One Piece King Rox and Roger. So they guessed more that Luo Ning chose to hide his strength and wanted to live a peaceful life, but was disrupted by their people. So much so that the opponent made a big fuss at Impel Down. I told you a long time ago that I should take care of these things, but you didn't listen. Advertisement. Garp whispered beside him, and this was naturally heard by everyone. At this moment, many vice admirals couldn't help but give Garp a thumbs up in their hearts. He is the only one who dares to say that about Sengoku. You still have the nerve to say, you know why you don't deal with these things. Do you think that Laozi has the same clone ability as that monster? Several big crosses appeared on Sengoku's forehead, and then he started roaring wildly. I'm not the marshal, and this matter is out of my control. Garp said something very bachelor. This sentence almost made Sengoku spit out a mouthful of old blood. Okay, you two, you're still in a meeting. Crane is also helpless. These two old and unscrupulous people know to quarrel all day long, but their relationship is not bad, but it depends on the occasion. Okay, is it time to quarrel? In the end, the two did not continue to quarrel, but continued the topic just now. All in all, it caused our own problems in Marine, right, so that there was such a big commotion. I think it is necessary to clean up the mobs in Marine, otherwise we will not feel comfortable if we cause a few more troubles like this gone. Also, this is not in line with our Marine's concept of justice. The three admirals all uphold their own justice. Kizaru is fishing and clocking into work. His justice lies in doing whatever he wants. As for Aokiji, his justice is most in line with the justice of the public concept. But because he was in Marine, he couldn't disobey orders too much, so even if he let Robin go, he used Saul as an excuse. As for Akainu, this guy is a collection of contradictions. If you say he hates evil, he is indeed merciless to pirates. However, he was extremely obedient to the orders of the world government, so that he dared to quarrel with 5 elders after he became the marshal, but in the end he still listened to their orders. And he wasn't so jealous, otherwise, he wouldn't have let the celestial dragons dangle under his nose. Would he dare to lay hands on the celestial dragons? Dare not. But he dared to attack the civilians of Ohara. Judging from the fact that Akainu did not hesitate to attack directly at that time, it is estimated that he did a lot of such things. All the Marines of the Hawk faction are like this, including the Ghost Spider. As long as necessary, he will attack with his own Marines. So Akainu's justice is the most contradictory. Of course, in terms of soldiers who obey orders, Akainu is the most qualified, much more qualified than everyone in the Marine. Chapter 32 Headache Akainu Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. In Summit War, in the highest level of combat power, only Akainu is fighting desperately from beginning to end, and the others are either letting water or fishing. In Summit War, the most qualified soldier is Akainu, as for Kirby trying to block Akainu. To be honest, under the circumstances at that time, it would have been light for Akainu to directly kill Kebi. Kebi is a deserter, and when he blocked Akainu in the end, it was equivalent to disturbing the morale of the army. Marine already had the advantage. Although the nature of Blackbeard's actions has changed, Marine can keep a few more captains and other members of the Whitebeard pirates. Without even thinking about it, I knew that once these people escaped and stabilized, they would definitely attack Marine. After all, Marine killed so many of them, but the behavior at that time broke up the last morale on Marine's side, so that after the red hair appeared, Sengoku and others followed the red hair to save face and stop the war. Kirby's behavior kept him in the Marine, and he was promoted in the later period, which was entirely for Garp's sake. In short, if Akainu is the most qualified soldier in Summit War, then Kebi is the most unqualified soldier, more unqualified than any of them, and death is not a pity for that kind. Aokiji's words also made Sengoku and others nod at this moment. Indeed, let alone other things, if these Marines continue to provoke a few strong men for themselves, or even directly join the pirates, it will be a serious blow to Marines. This time it was considered lucky, Luo Ning didn't kill them directly, otherwise the Marine who went to Impel Down this time probably wouldn't be able to come back. Once these forces are completely lost in Impel Down, then Marine will have a big problem up. And the following situation will only lead to a bad cycle, and may even directly bring down the entire Marine. So this time Sengoku is very lucky, but for these rotten Marines, he can't wait to kill these bastards. After your proposal, we will set up an inspection team to pull out these moths, but that will be a later thing. By the way, what happened to your injury? Can't you find out the problem? Seeing Aokiji's pale face, Sengoku asked again. Now that this problem is solved, the next step is the problem of Luo Ning's ability. It is necessary to figure out what kind of existence Luo Ning is. Although the other party didn't seem to intend to make an enemy of Marine, they did what they did. The ghost spider is still lying in the hospital like mud. Not to mention going to war with Luo Ning directly now, but you must be prepared to take precautions and find out what the opponent's ability is. I don't know, there is no external injury, and there is no problem with the internal organs, but there is a terrible pain that keeps coming. Advertisement. Aokiji couldn't figure it out himself, and neither could anyone else. I'll go to the hospital to have a look later. You can't do this all the time, so let's sum up the other party's abilities now. As he said that, Sengoku led everyone to summarize Luo Ning's current known abilities. After the summary, everyone called him a monster. The biggest question now is why the other party is not afraid of seawater. Any capable person is afraid of seawater, so the other party may not be a capable person, but he is not a capable person. Then why does the other party have so many special abilities? Crane's words are also a question for everyone, they don't understand. If there is a way to get his blood sample or something. Sengoku spoke suddenly. Don't even think about it, don't even think about it, it is impossible to get the blood of that little monster. The old man fought with him for several hours without even breaking her skin. How many people here do you think can compare with the old man? Garp directly denied Sengoku's idea. This is simply impossible, his body is so many times harder than steel. His fist can blow up the mountain with only a few punches, but after a few hours, even his skin they can't be broken. Garp doesn't think there is anyone here who can surpass him in terms of combat power. In terms of attack power, Kizaru's ability and Akainu's ability are not bad. But Garp didn't think these two had the strength to break through each other's defenses. I agree with Vice Admiral Garp, you can't shoot him before you are absolutely sure. This time he just slapped the ghost spider Vice Admiral, but what about next time? If he turns more human bones into biscuits as fragile. Gion also spoke up. Having fought with Luo Ning's clone, she naturally knew how heaven-defying Luo Ning's strength was. Just a clone made her lose her temper. They didn't kill them now, but what about the future? What if Marine is all lost? All in all, you can't casually make enemies with each other. I see, then let's collect information on him first, but Sakazuki. When he thinks of Akainu, his head gets dizzy. Akainu's personality will definitely cause trouble for Luo Ning. Once Akainu passes by, it means that Marine will start a war with Luo Ning again. It will be troublesome at that time. It's okay to fight well. Can't beat it. It will be miserable. Chapter 33 The second lottery draw open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Sakazuki's side, just let him guard New World's side. Garp doesn't care. Although Akainu is reckless, he must obey orders. Now Sakazuki is stationed in New World. Although it is only the entrance, at least one entrance can be guarded. Hearing Garp's words, Sengoku also nodded. Indeed, the big deal is to let Akainu stay outside. As long as this guy is not recalled, can this guy still leave his post and run to Impel Down to trouble Luo Ning? Besides, they are just collecting information now, and they didn't say they won't cause trouble. It won't be too late to start when the information collection is almost done. Now the main thing is to stabilize Akainu's violent temper. Both Garp and Aokiji are at a disadvantage, and he doesn't think Akainu can get any benefits from Luo Ning. The meeting on Marine's side ended quickly, and Sengoku and others followed Aokiji to check his body, but the result was that there was nothing wrong with it. If it weren't for the fact that the person holding his stomach was Aokiji, and there were a group of Marine executives standing beside him, the doctor would have wondered if he had been tricked. Aokiji couldn't find any problems, and Sengoku was also very distressed, so he had to let Aokiji stay at the headquarters temporarily. But after he took a look at the ghost spider, he was in a bad state. The ghost spider's state was really terrifying. Most of the bones in his body were shattered. This kind of injury would kill 10 lives on a normal person, but Vice Admiral like the ghost spider has a tenacious life. Although it has been crippled, it is not fatal. But at this moment, the ghost spider really wanted to commit suicide after knowing that his situation could not be recovered. He was originally a radical member of the Hawk faction, but now he has become like this ghost, which is more uncomfortable than killing him. The situation of the ghost spider also made Sengoku determined not to trouble Luo Ning casually, even if the other party settled down in Impel Down. If Garp and the others were all lost there, Marine would be in trouble. With the sample of the ghost spider here, no one dares to provoke Luo Ning, no one wants their bones to become like biscuits, look at the ghost spider. If Sengoku hadn't stabilized the ghost spider and asked Vegapunk if there was a way to solve it, otherwise the ghost spider would probably try to commit suicide. Just like that, the night passed by in a hurry. On Luo Ning's side, Magellan could only help find someone to build the villa. There was no way, Luo Ning was a time bomb, and it still couldn't be dismantled. In order to stabilize the situation of Impel Down, Magellan can only follow the opponent. Advertisement. But his only reassurance was that Luo Ning said that he could help him stabilize the prison situation. After all, Luo Ning also lived here, which made Magellan breathe a sigh of relief. Now the entire Impel Down does not dare to provoke Luo Ning at all, including Shiryu, who is still lying in the hospital. Although the people in One Piece world are all Xiaoqiang, they need to rest for a while if they are injured. After dealing with Garp yesterday, they accumulated the number of lottery draws. This is good news. The free points are also distributed, and now Luo Ning's strength has skyrocketed again, and Marine has provided him with a large number of free points. Not to mention Reiatsu, although his pure physical strength is still worse than Garp, but it is not too far behind. This is not superimposed with the fantasy strength and the body of steel. The pure physical quality has reached this horror to an extent. Combined with the fantasist's ability, he couldn't think of anyone who could break through his defense. Of course, this does not mean that he is invincible, and there are always some special abilities that have some effect on him. Ai Yin next to Zephyr was touched by her hand a few times, the consequences would be unimaginable. Luo Ning didn't even care about Granu's ability. Granos is nothing more than turning a person into a toy, and he has no combat power, and even if he turns him into a toy, Granos' ability can't block his Reiatsu, the fantasist's ability is still there, and Reiatsu is still there. Once Granos faints, the ability will be invalid, including Ain, so he doesn't care about the childlike fruit, and even Ain, he is only a little jealous of Ain's regression fruit. Even if he is encountered once, he can release Reiatsu to directly make Ain faint. The biggest problem with these special ability users like Ain is that their combat power is not very strong. Ain can't even block his Reiatsu. Once a person faints, the ability will be released. Although he was afraid of this special ability, it was just a matter of fear, and it was not a big problem to be careful. After Luo Ning completed another enhancement of his own, he set his sights on the lottery draw. In the first lottery, he got the ability of the Visionary, which comes with Reiatsu, and then quickly brushed the experience in Impel Down to almost reach the level of invincibility, so what good things will be brought to him next? Luo Ning was looking forward to it. If there was another powerful or weird ability, his whole cards would be even more. Chapter 34 Practical Props Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. I actually got this thing. Looking at the compass in his hand, Luo Ning didn't know whether he was lucky or not. The compass in his hand is actually very famous, Jack Sparrow's compass, and the compass is an enhanced version. This compass can be used to point to the things most desired in the heart. Compass such as people and treasures will point in this direction. Now this compass is not only compatible with One Piece world, but also has a clearer direction. As long as Luo Ning thinks about something, the compass will point in that direction, which is equivalent to an enhanced version of the one in Jack's hand. Although he didn't draw anything to strengthen his strength, for Luo Ning, this compass was very useful. In One Piece world, it is not easy to sail on the sea. In 4 seas, charts can still be used, but when it comes to Grand Line, you need a permanent pointer. With this thing, Luo Ning can go wherever he wants, so this thing is very useful to Luo Ning. Good thing, it's a good thing. Putting the compass away, Luo Ning washed up and left the room. His room was a spare room in the big prison, and he lived here before the villa was built. The matter about Luo Ning has not been fully exposed yet. Although Marine has dispatched a large number of combat forces, except for the insiders of Marine and the people of Impel Down, other people do not know about this battle at all. Of course, with so many people, it's impossible to keep their mouths shut. It's estimated that Morgans will know about these things in a few days. By then, the situation of Luo Ning, Marine, and Impel Down will probably spread throughout the sea. But Luo Ning didn't care. He knew it when he knew it. Anyway, he even dared to provoke Marine and world government, and he didn't care that other people missed him. But Luo Ning also plans to leave first. The villa has not been built yet, and he has no experience in the big prison, so why not go out and find Nami and the others by the way? At this stage, Luffy hasn't gone to sea yet, let's cut off the girl first. After all, he is a normal man, and it is normal to like beautiful women. Plus now that you have this pointer, it's not easy to find someone. The wink thing. Soon, Luo Ning found Magellan. Although he could move in the sky, he was boring alone, so he might as well ask Magellan to prepare a boat to take him there. Magellan was also helpless when he heard this, he had no choice but to follow suit. Soon, some jailers were dispatched to help Luo Ning sail the boat. Now there are still a lot of things waiting for him to deal with in the big prison. After all the beasts in the wild beast hell on the 2nd floor were killed by Luo Ning. The same is true for the army wolves on the 5th floor, which led to the fact that he now needs to redeploy manpower to guard these places. However, the prisoners are also quite well behaved, mainly because Luo Ning's intimidation made them dare not act rashly, and this is the only thing that makes Magellan feel at ease. Mr. Luo Ning, where are we going next? Advertisement. After the warship left Impel Down, a jailer officer asked, although Luo Ning is not a member of the big prison, but now he is overwhelming the whole big prison, and even Marine has to compromise. So he didn't dare to provoke Luo Ning, he was respectful at the moment. Go to East Blue. Luo Ning said that the pointer in his hand only needs to find Nami when the time comes, and it doesn't need to be used to locate East Blue. Clear. The officer responded and left. As for Luo Ning, he was basking in the sun on the deck. The location of the big prison is to go to East Blue, you must cross the Grand Line. The big prison itself is in the calm belt, surrounded by sea kings, but the Marine's warship is pretty good. There is a sea stone at the bottom of the warship, which can avoid the attack of sea kings, and it is a power ship, so it can easily cross the calm belt. Compared with other people, it is more troublesome to enter the Grand Line or go back from the four seas. You can only walk upside down mountain, something like upside down mountain. If you don't pay attention, you will die directly. The warship sailed towards Enel's lobby's Gate of Justice, which is the fastest and safest route. As for Luo Ning's move, Naval Headquarters received the news. What? He left the big prison. Didn't he say he wanted to make his home in the big prison? Sengoku was also a little confused after receiving the news. He said yesterday that he would settle down in a large prison, but he left today. However, after knowing that Luo Ning was only leaving temporarily, Sengoku's expression seemed to have eaten something bad. Are you sure where he is going? Okay, I know. Sengoku hung up after asking some crucial questions. What is this guy doing in East Blue? Sengoku was puzzled. Why would Luo Ning go to East Blue? East Blue seems to have nothing to attract Luo Ning. That kid's doing things are quite weird. God knows what he's doing in East Blue. As long as he doesn't interfere with us, let him go. Garp didn't care. He listened to Sengoku's call the whole time, but he didn't care at all. Chapter 35 The news spread. The turbulent sea open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Garp is not worried, because he knows that Luo Ning is not some heinous criminal and lunatic, otherwise Luo Ning would not only have a heavy hand on ghost spiders before, and they will all be left in the big prison. Furthermore, how can you know? They can't interfere with what other people do in East Blue, so why bother? That's right, and the fact that he was able to send back these messages must be his intentional indulgence. Sengoku is very clear that these messages can be sent back, which is completely the result of Luo Ning's indulgence, otherwise it is almost impossible to send clear messages back. What Garp said made sense, so he didn't bother to bother, and to be honest, Sengoku really envied Garp's life now. Garp doesn't have an important job right now, so he can do whatever he wants. In fact, Sengoku is even more unreliable than Garp. After handing over the position of marshal, this guy can be described as a model of unreliability. In this way, time passed quickly. Although Morgans knew some things through her eyeliner in Marine, she was warned by Sengoku before she could expose the news. Although Morgans was very courageous, he didn't dare to really tear himself apart with Marine. The reason for the summit war was that Sengoku and others broadcast the whole process live, so the news couldn't be blocked, but the news about Luo Ning can still be blocked. After Morgans was warned, he didn't dare to act casually, otherwise it would not do him any good to offend Marine, so the public exposure was just a riot of Impel Down, but it was quickly suppressed. Although Luo Ning had a fight with Marine, there was indeed no major disturbance inside Impel Down. As for the news of Luo Ning, it should be directly blocked, and Marine also issued a gag order. Morgans is not stupid, he knows not to fight against Marine. Luo Ning was not too surprised when he saw the news during this period of time. The control of Morgan's fishing boat is simply the indulgence of the world government. Otherwise, the world government can easily replace someone like Morgan's. Fishing boats can only be controlled by themselves, is the best. Now everything is calm again, and Marine did not continue to trouble Luo Ning. Of course, Luo Ning is very clear that once Sengoku finds any weakness in him, he will definitely choose to attack him immediately. Unfortunately, his weakness Sengoku will never be found, not that he has no weaknesses, but his weaknesses will not be noticed at all. It's not an anime now, and he doesn't have the ability to narrate. As for him, he won't fully expose his abilities like the second idiot villain, so the probability of his weaknesses being exposed is infinitely close to zero. Advertisement. Furthermore, what if he knew the weakness of the visionary? There is nothing he can do. Now that Luo Ning has not directly turned against Marine, sooner or later he will move against Marine and the world government, but not now. After reading the contents of the newspaper, Luo Ning threw the newspaper away directly, feeling bored. Luo Ning didn't care, but there were many people who cared. The five elders already knew about this matter, but according to the situation reported by Sengoku, they really couldn't afford to provoke this person. The five elders don't sit around doing nothing to provoke each other, you know, they don't care about anything for their own benefit. Shichibukai is the best example, they are even willing to recruit pirates as subordinates. As for the justice of Marine, it is a joke in front of the world government. Marine is a subsidiary organization of the world government, and it also controls the lifeline of Marine's economy. So five elders didn't let people deal with Luo Ning, but they also sent people from the CP organization to check the specific information on Luo Ning. By the way, the decayed Marine in Luo Ning's former village has been disposed of by Sengoku and others. Even after that, Sengoku sent 4 vice admirals to the 4 seas to form an inspection team to clean up Marine's moths. On East Blue's side, Garp is ashamed to go. In fact, Garp knows very well that he can just leave this matter to Smoker. As for himself, he can just go home and see his precious grandson. Sengoku naturally knows what Garp will do, but he has nothing to do. Even if he doesn't agree, Garp will leave quietly at that time. Instead of letting this old guy annoy him in front of him, it is better to send him to East Blue Go. And now that Luo Ning is also heading towards East Blue, it's good for Garp to keep an eye on it. Regarding the situation of Marine, the four Emperor's forces mostly dismissed it after getting the newspaper, just laughed at Marine's incompetence. Whitebeard was busy cultivating relationships with his sons, Ant was busy eating dessert, Kaido was busy drinking and forming his own legion of abilities. The only one who reacted was Shanks. This guy has been working to stabilize the situation in the sea. It seems that he has some kind of agreement with 5 elders. He really regards himself as a peace ambassador. Worrying all day long, his brain is simply out of control, typical of having nothing to do when he's full. Anyway, Luo Ning doesn't like Shanks. Chapter 36 Arriving at East Blue, Ace who has just been out to sea for a long time open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Mr. Luo Ning, we have arrived at East Blue, where are we going next? After a period of boring sailing, the ship finally arrived at East Blue. Even sailing on the sea with Marine's power boat took a lot of time. This is because Luo Ning didn't resupply on the way all the way. After all, supplies are nothing more than food and water, and Luo Ning can supply these things by himself. So it's pretty fast now. Are you in East Blue? Luo Ning took out the compass, and the compass pointed in one direction. Go over there, and follow my command to move forward. Luo Ning glanced at the compass and said, the compass is now pointing to the direction where Nami is, unless he returns to Arlong, otherwise Nami must be running around if he is outside, so he needs to point out the direction next. Although they don't know what Luo Ning is going to do, the jailers can only obey Luo Ning's orders. He is still the boss, so he will naturally do what he says. The ships kept sailing, and Luo Ning came to East Blue before Garp. This East Blue is calm, and there are not so many crazy pirates. East Blue and Grand Line are completely different. In Grand Line, there are quite a few pirates who dared to attack marine warships. Now there are still many pirates imprisoned in the warships. They were all captured by Luo Ning when they attacked the warships. Luo Ning didn't kill these pirates, but planned to bring them back to Impel Down. He knew what Impel Down looked like, so he naturally knew that killing these guys was cheap, and it was most suitable to put them in Impel Down. During this period, he also let these pirates report each other. Basically there are no innocent pirates. It's hard to find 1 out of 10,000 pirates of Luffy's nature. Mr. Luo Ning, I found a small boat ahead with a pirate flag hanging on it, but this pirate group has not been registered. It should be a pirate that has not been wanted yet. Soon Luo Ning received the news again. Generally, after finding the pirates, he would tell Luo Ning, and then Luo Ning would take down the pirates. But this time there is no record yet, indicating that the other party has not really appeared under Marine's eyelids. Let me see. After Luo Ning glanced at it, his expression became a little strange, because he recognized who the other party was. This is Ace who just went out to sea not long ago. The guy next to him followed him, which means that he has acquired the ability of Mera Mera Fruit. After seeing Ace, Luo Ning was also taken aback for a moment. He didn't have much dislike for Ace, but in his opinion, Ace was really impulsive. Advertisement. Lost once in the pursuit of Teach, and suffered a second time when Naval Headquarters was rescued. His own temper is the same as his fruit ability, extremely hot. But there is one thing to say, he does not dislike such impulses. Ace put it bluntly that there is a reason for every impulse. The first time was because Tiki was his subordinate, and Tiki killed Sage. He must shoulder the responsibility of the captain. This is actually quite normal. The second time Akainu ridiculed Whitebeard and was impulsive. Although this kind of impulsiveness seemed rather ignorant at the time, it was because he cared about Whitebeard. If he didn't care about Whitebeard, he would pat his A and leave. However, he was also willing to block the fatal blow for Luffy. Although it would not have happened if he hadn't stopped at the time, at least he cared about his relatives and friends. So although Ace is reckless and impulsive, this impulsiveness is not very offensive. Ace, we seem to have encountered a warship. Ace and the others have naturally discovered the warship. After all, the warship is so conspicuous. Just don't provoke us. If they attack us, let them always taste the flames. Ace glanced at it and didn't intend to provoke him, and he wasn't afraid of the other party. After all, he was a Logia fruit-capable user. Mr. Luo Ning, are we going to attack? Although the opponent has not been recorded yet, and there is no reward, but the flag of the pirate is a pirate. Don't worry about them, let them go. Luo Ning didn't intend to get involved with the current ace, and the current ace's defeat is worthless, let's talk about it later. Clear. The jailers didn't say anything more. Now that Luo Ning had made a decision, what more could they say? Just like that, the warship and Ace's boat just passed each other, and no one provoked the other. To be honest, Ace is also a little puzzled. After all, they are flying the pirate flag, and Marine sees pirates like a cat sees a mouse. This time the ship didn't respond at all. But it's fine to leave in such a calm manner, and he doesn't want to cause too much trouble. Ace's nature is somewhat similar to Luffy's. He doesn't belong to the kind of pirate who likes to burn, kill, and plunder. He prefers to take risks and become the pirate king. In the later period, I also wanted to help Whitebeard ascend the throne of One Piece. No matter what Ace is going to do, Luo Ning doesn't care about it now. He is mainly looking for Nami now, and then he will deal with the dragon pirates. When he thinks of Arlong and his group of Murlocs, Luo Ning feels disgusting. Chapter 37 Little Thieving Cat Nami Open Black Lens Bracket Favorites Close Black Lens Bracket. Under Luo Ning's command, the warship kept changing directions, which made the jailers on board very puzzled, but they could only follow suit, and Luo Ning was actually very kind to them. They even got some delicacies from Luo Ning that they could not taste before. After going out to sea, naturally you can't eat any good food while sailing on the sea, but what about following Luo Ning? There are fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and all kinds of delicious dishes. In short, they feel much more comfortable following Luo Ning than they are in the big prison. When he was bored, Luo Ning also played poker to teach these people how to play cards. As for playing mahjong, sorry, Luo Ning himself can't. So I simply found a few people to fight the landlord, which can relieve the boredom. In short, sailing with Luo Ning, they are indeed quite comfortable, do not need to consider too many things, and the quality of life is much better than any other sailing. Mr. Luo Ning, there is a pirate ship ahead, the cabin pirates, the captain cabin is offering a bounty of 3 million. Soon Luo Ning found his target. There was his target on this pirate ship. The pointer had already told him, so he knew it without thinking. Nami must have stolen money on the pirate ship again. Nami often targets these pirates for stealing money, one is because these pirates have a lot of money, and the other is that she doesn't feel too much guilt about stealing these guys' money. I have to say that Nami is really hardworking. When Arlong came, Nami was only 10 years old, and now, Nami is only 15 years old, but at this age, she has to go to such a dangerous place to steal money. Nami is very clever, but has no strength. To be able to survive until the beginning of the plot and meet Luffy can only be said to be a combination of ability and luck. Understood, you guys catch up, I'll go over and deal with these guys first. Luo Ning didn't talk nonsense, since he found his goal, he naturally went straight to it. Luo Ning disappeared on the deck with a dodge. For the jailers, this has long been used to it. All they have to do now is to drive the boat over and receive the criminals. To be honest, it is good that their ship is an Impel Down ship, and the prison area inside is a bit larger, but even so, it is already overcrowded. Luo Ning, who came to the opponent's ship, directly lowered the anchor of the opponent's ship, and the pirate ship stopped immediately. There are enemies. Seeing a stranger appearing abruptly and lowering the anchor on his ship, all the pirates on the deck exclaimed, and then raised their weapons. Anyone with a gun shot. But these bullets didn't hit Luo Ning. Instead, they fainted after being swept by a wave of Reiatsu. What happened? Who are you? Advertisement. The movement on the deck made everyone in the cabin react, and quickly rushed out of the cabin to the deck. And Nami, who was hiding behind Curry, also heard the movement outside. What's going on outside? It can't be the pirate rush. Nami herself has not seen these pirates killing each other. At this moment, she is hiding in the cabin honestly. She has almost searched for all the treasures, and she plans to wait for the other party to not pay attention and run away. But before she left, there seemed to be a fight outside. You don't need to know. Luo Ning shook his head, and when the same Reiatsu was released, all the pirates fell down, including the captain named Carbon. Clean up. Luo Ning had already sensed Nami who was hiding behind Curry in the warehouse, and after asking the jailers to capture all the pirates, he came directly to the warehouse. Don't hide. Come out. I know you are inside. Nami hides very well. Just by looking at it with the naked eye, there is no one hiding here at all, but Reiatsu's perception will not deceive Luo Ning, and Luo Ning's body has been strengthened many times, and Nami's slight breathing sound escapes. But his ears. But at the moment Nami didn't come out directly, but still hid. In her opinion, Luo Ning should be cheating on her. She has encountered many such situations. Okay, I'm not kidding you, come out, Nami. After Luo Ning glanced at nothing, he spoke again. After finishing this sentence, there was an obvious sound in the warehouse. Immediately afterwards, a girl with orange hair stood up in disbelief. The current Nami is 15 years old, and she has not matured at the beginning of the plot, but she can tell that she is a beautiful woman at a glance. Of course, there is really no shortage of beauties in the pirate world. Not to mention more, let's talk about the prince who was transformed from a man into a woman by Ivankov. Good guy, the 5 big and 3 roughs have directly become super beautiful. To be honest, if Nami was not a character in the plot, he would not dare to search for it randomly. God knows if he will find a ladyboy one day. In short, Ivankov's ability is really terrifying to the extreme. How do you know my name? Nami asked incredulously. Maybe she was cheated before, but what about now? The names are spoken. Chapter 38 Let Smoker come to pick you up. Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. You don't have to worry about it. I'm here for one purpose, and that's you. I'll help you deal with Arlong and the others. How about you work for me in the future? Luo Ning never thought that he could gain Nami's favorability from the very beginning. This is not realistic, and the most important thing is to get people over. Are you sent by Arlong? Nami became vigilant immediately. She was always wary of Arlong, although she also knew that Arlong was trying to trick her, but this was the last straw. Even knowing that this straw is illusory, Nami has no choice. If he does it, he has some hope, but if he doesn't, he has no hope at all. So knowing that Arlong is not a guy who keeps his word, but she is still trying to collect the 100 million Baileys. Now her only thought is that Luo Ning was sent by Arlong. Forget it. It's useless to talk to you so much. Come here by yourself. Even if you don't come here, I will wait for you in Kokoja village. Luo Ning is too lazy to talk nonsense. Instead of talking so much nonsense, it is better to do some practical things. Practical actions are more real than any words. Hearing this, Nami was at a loss. If it was normal, she would wrap up these things and run away, but now that Luo Ning said that she would go to Kokoja village to wait for her, she had no choice. However, she still hugged the treasure here, and hugged it tightly, as if anyone who dared to snatch it would directly kill the other party. Military ship. You are Marine, but why are you wearing? The moment she saw the warship, Nami thought that Luo Ning was recruited by Arlong. After all, Colonel Mouse and Arlong were on the same team, but after seeing the clothes of the people on board, she couldn't be sure. The crew on the ship are all Impel Down jailers, so there is a big difference in clothing from Marine soldiers. They are the jailers of Impel Down. Luo Ning didn't talk nonsense, and brought Nami to the boat, and Nami also saw the imprisoned pirates. Okay, let me make it clear to you now, I am not with Arlong, nor with the mouse, I am here only for you, as my navigator, I will help you get rid of Arlong and the mouse. Quote. As a matter of sincerity, I can help you get rid of Arlong first, and then you can decide whether you want to be my navigator or not, how about that? It's a deal, take Nami with you first anyway. Are you telling the truth? At this moment, Nami's heart was struggling with heaven and man, but in the end she couldn't hold back, because she saw that the whole boat of pirates on the opposite side had been caught. If Luo Ning was really with the rats, he would never do such a thing. In her cognition, few of the Marines in East Blue would target pirates, and many of them had a certain cooperative relationship with pirates. So Nami didn't even dare to go to Rog Town to file a complaint after seeing too much. Advertisement. Although Smoker doesn't care much about things, his sense of justice is still there. Whether it's true or not is up to you to decide. Luo Ning will stop talking nonsense, let Nami see for himself when the time comes. Mr. Luo Ning, all the cells on our ship are full, and there are still some pirates who cannot be detained. The jailer officers quickly found Luo Ning, and now the prison cells on the ship are already overcrowded. Contact the town of Rog, and ask Smoker to send someone over to take away the irrelevant ones, and bring some important ones to Impel Down, don't tell me you can't contact them. Luo Ning glanced at it and said, and the jailer officer also had cold sweat on his forehead. He thought he had been reporting information very secretly, but now it seems that everyone knows. Ming, I understand, I will do it now. The jailer officer left quickly, and he was relieved at the same time. It seemed that he didn't care about his small actions at all, otherwise he would have turned into a corpse long ago. How many pirates have you caught? Nami was also very surprised when he heard it, such a large warship, there are still many pirates on the outer deck, so it can't be filled. A lot of pirates were caught on the way from the Grand Line, because the purpose of this time is you, so I didn't send these pirates to Impel Down, so that it is overcrowded now. Luo Ning explained, indeed, there were too many people arrested. Are you from the Grand Line? Nami was taken aback. Didn't I say it before? These people are the jailers of Impel Down, and Impel Down is on the calm belt of the Grand Line. You should know about Impel Down. To be honest, Luo Ning was puzzled. When Nami and the others were in East Blue in the past, it seemed that the news was completely cut off, and a lot of news was unknown. But such things as newspapers and rewards are everywhere. It can only be said that it is a setting problem. It was not spread out like this in the early stage. Now it is the real world, and there are always some changes. I know this, but I didn't pay much attention just now. Nami couldn't help blushing, she had been thinking about Arlong just now, and didn't notice Impel Down. Chapter 39 Dragon Paradise Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. The jailer officer quickly reported the situation, and then the people above would notify Smoker and the others, and he didn't need to intervene. Now they just need to go to Kokosha village and wait. During the voyage, Nami kept holding the treasure in his hands, and kept his eyes on Luo Ning. You don't have to hold these things like this, no one will care about these things. Luo Ning shook his head. The money here is only hundreds of thousands of Baileys. This pirate group is too weak, and there are few rewards. In addition, pirates spend a lot of money. It is Nami's luck to find so many. All right. Since you want to help me solve Arlong's problem, then you should know that Arlong and the others are Murlocs, right? Can you really deal with Arlong and them? Nami didn't put down what was in his hand, but asked with some doubts. The main reason is that Arlong casts too much shadow on them, and Arlong and the others, as Murlocs, do have many advantages over humans, their innate strength is 10 times that of normal humans. You can swim in the sea without restrictions, and you don't have much knowledge. After the cleaning of East Blue, there are not many powerful pirates. With a reward of tens of millions, you are already a super pirate. Arlong's 20 million bounty is like a dominance in East Blue. Do you know why Arlong came to East Blue? The location of the Fishman Island is directly below the Red Line. The status of Murlocs and Merfolk in the Grand Line is very low. In the auction house of Sabayati Archipelago, it is not uncommon to see Murlocs and Merfolk trying hard to auction. Even people in the Fishman Island dare not leave the Fishman Island casually, because once they leave the Fishman Island and are caught, it is basically the life of a slave. Luo Ning and Nami talked about the situation of the Grand Line Murlocs, and Nami was dumbfounded. Why is this? It is clear that Murlocs are 10 times stronger than humans. Nami couldn't understand. It's 10 times stronger than normal humans, but many people can surpass this value just by exercising hard. Although the same is true for Murlocs, compared with humans, the number of Murloc masters is too small. Arlong was imprisoned at the beginning. Originally, he would not be able to come to East Blue for the rest of his life, but after Jinbei became 7 warlords of the sea, as a condition, he released some Murloc prisoners, including Arlong. Arlong didn't dare to provoke people from the Grand Line, so he could only come to East Blue, and even if he came to East Blue, he would only dare to attack ordinary people like you. For Arlong, Luo Ning really looked down on him. It's normal to have revenge, but why don't you take revenge on the world government, and come here to make trouble instead? Arlong's behavior is a typical revenge society, a piece of rubbish. Advertisement. So, Arlong came to East Blue because he hung out on the Grand Line. Nami's expression showed that she was a little bit broken now. In her eyes, Arlong was like a monster, and the invincible Arlong came here because he couldn't get along. That's right, and he didn't dare to go to other sea areas, he only dared to come to East Blue. Because of Roger, East Blue has been suppressed, so the strength of East Blue is currently the weakest among the four seas. It is very likely that he will be killed by the powerful existence of other sea areas when he goes to other sea areas, so he can only come to this almost harmless East Blue. Luo Ning told Nami everything he knew, and he knew that Nami's three views probably needed to be reshaped. In this way, the warship quickly sailed towards Kokoja village. Nami didn't go far, and the warship was a powered ship, so it took less than half a day to arrive at Kokoja village. Nami, show the way, and drive the boat directly to the Dragon Paradise. Luo Ning didn't stop at Kokoja village, but went directly to the Dragon Paradise. Hearing Luo Ning's order, the jailers naturally obeyed. As for Nami, although she said so much just now, they all came from Luo Ning's mouth. She still can't believe it completely, but now that she has reached this point, Nami can only gamble. The big deal is to lose the bet and stay with Belmel, this is what she thinks now, but if the bet wins, then Kokoja village will be saved. After the warship approached the Dragon Paradise, Luo Ning Reiatsu released it, and a huge palm grabbed into the sea, and then a murloc was caught in the air. Luo Ning didn't kill these murlocs. Although it is not a pity for these guys to die, sending them to Impel Down is the best way to deal with them. There, it is much more uncomfortable than death. As soon as the murloc was thrown on the deck, the jailers rushed up, although the murloc still had the strength to resist. But the people on this ship were all brought from Impel Down. It's hard to say how powerful they are, but there is no problem at all in taking down this murloc. Amazing. Seeing that the murloc was taken down by the surrounding jailers, Nami believed even more what Luo Ning said just now. Chapter 40. Arlong who is hard to die open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Damn it, Nami, have you betrayed us? Do you know the fate of betraying us? Boss will not let you go, and he will not let Kokoja village go. The captured murloc also saw Nami, so he knew that these people were brought by Nami without thinking about it. So at this moment, he can only threaten Nami. Don't talk so much nonsense, you will only spend the rest of your life in Impel Down, I hope you will like that place. Luo Ning didn't bother to talk nonsense either, he didn't even bother to listen when people gagged this guy's mouth. After the ship landed, you can already see the Dragon Paradise. Arlong and the others naturally noticed the arrival of such a large warship, and all the murlocs gathered together under Arlong's leadership. Why is there a warship here? And looking at it like this, it's not something that Mouse can have at all. Looking at this large warship, Arlong's expression was not good. He knew what Colonel Mouse's warship was like. Warships are also divided into levels, and such large warships are very rare. Appearing on his territory now, he is also a little worried about whether there will be strong enemies coming. Nami. But when he saw a group of people coming off the warship, he was shocked. Among these people, he saw Nami. Arlong. Seeing Arlong, Nami also took a few steps back in fear, this fear was already buried in his bones. It turns out that you brought these damned guys to us. Before the words were finished, a terrifying shock spread in all directions. Except for Arlong, all the murlocs fainted on the ground. Only Arlong was still awake, but even Arlong was kneeling on the ground trembling at this moment. Move. Luo Ning was too lazy to talk nonsense with these guys, and just pressed Reiatsu to get it done, and he even deliberately kept Arlong awake, otherwise Arlong's strength would not be able to stop his Reiatsu impact. How is it possible? Conquerors, why does Conqueror's Haki appear in a place like East Blue? After all, Arlong had been with Tiger in the Grand Line. Although he hadn't seen Conqueror's Haki much, he knew that this coercion was exactly the same as Conqueror's description. But he couldn't understand why such a thing as Conqueror's Haki appeared in a place like East Blue. No matter how surprised he was, the current jailers had already started arresting people, and one unconscious murloc was arrested one after another. How could it end so easily? Advertisement. Nami herself was in a daze for a while, and she didn't wake up until some murlocs were carried away. At first, she thought that Luo Ning and the others would at least fight Arlong and the others, and in the end they would win or lose to each other. But now this kind of one-on-one meeting was completely unexpected to her. I told you, these guys are just arrogance on the East Blue side. When it comes to the Grand Line, they are nothing. Do you want to vent your anger in the past? I deliberately made that guy sober. Luo Ning pointed to the immobile Arlong and said. Seeing that Arlong couldn't move, Nami's eyes were a little red at the moment, because she thought of Belmel, although Belmel was not their real mother, but she was no different from her real mother. But he died at the hands of the D Arlong. Taking a look at Nami's appearance, Luo Ning directly took a knife and handed it to Nami, and then it was time to vent his anger. After getting the knife, Nami rushed up and slashed at Arlong. This man, once angry to the limit, can do anything. As for the guards around him, their expressions didn't change at all. As jailers in Impel Down, they've seen this sort of thing a lot. It's worse than this, grab a lot in Impel Down. Ha 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 ha. Nami, so what if you hack me to death here? That trash woman, dead, will never survive. Arlong was also a little bit crazy after being hacked, and started to taunt Nami crazily. It's not that simple to want to die. Luo Ning put his hand on Arlong's body, the power of fantasy spread into Arlong's body, and the wound he had cut before was completely healed. If Arlong's body was not stained red with blood at this moment, Nami would have thought that everything just now was an illusion. You can chop him whatever you want, I'll watch from the side, you don't have to worry about hacking him to death. Luo Ning said with a smile, sometimes, death is not so easy. And Arlong showed a terrified expression at the moment. He stimulated Nami just now to let Nami kill him directly, but now he never expected that Luo Ning would have such a strange healing ability, he would not even want to die. After hearing Luo Ning's words, Nami struggled a little, and finally threw the knife aside. Nami is very kind, and the previous slashing was due to years of suppression and she lost her mind. Now that she is awake, she will naturally be unable to use the knife. Chapter 41 Eliminate Tattoo Open Black Lens Bracket Favorite Close Black Lens Bracket. It's fine if you can't do it, but he won't have a good time in the future. He will spend the rest of his life in Impel Down. As for how long the second half of his life will be, it depends on how long he can survive. Seeing Arlong heaved a sigh of relief, Luo Ning did not intend to let him go. These Murlocs are not a pity to die, but Impel Down is their real destination. None of the Murlocs here is innocent, including Xiao Ba. Nami in the original book could even forgive Xiao Ba Luo Ning. It was unexpected that following Arlong's guy, there would be something good. Although this guy saved Rayleigh, so what? Does Rayleigh still dare to save someone? Push. Impel Down. When Arlong heard the name, he immediately remembered it. No wonder he felt that the clothes of these crew members were different from Marine, but they were very familiar. This is the person from Impel Down. He is very familiar with Impel Down, he was also arrested in the past, and finally Jinbei took over Shichibukai to release him. Thinking of those horrible tortures in Impel Down, Arlong's body was trembling constantly, and there was a look of fear in his eyes. Why is he so scared? Nami was a little puzzled. Although she knew about Impel Down, she only knew about the existence of such a prison. As for the situation inside, she didn't know. You will know later. In Impel Down, living is much more uncomfortable than dying. Luo Ning asked Arlong to be escorted onto the boat, and then the group went to Kokosha village, where they were going to hand over the criminals. To be honest, Luo Ning feels like he has become a marine, but there is still a difference. Luo Ning catches pirates just because those pirates are not pleasing to the eye. Moreover, the deep-sea prison has already been regarded by him as his own territory. After a full-scale war with the marine world government, he will directly include Impel Down under his command, turning it into a truly terrifying prison. Back in Kokosha village, Nami also explained to others what happened to Arlong and others, and returned all the money that Arlong had stolen from here over the years to other villagers. What did these villagers say? Luo Ning didn't have any ill feelings, although these people didn't express their views before Luffy and others arrived. They even spoke ill of Nami, but to put it bluntly, they all knew the reason why Nami did this. In the end, these people dared to go to Arlong to fight desperately, at least they had a little conscience. So Luo Ning didn't have much bad feeling towards these people, and of course, he didn't have much good feeling towards them. Knowing that Arlong had been arrested, the whole village started a carnival. As for Luo Ning and others, they all stayed on the boat, and they had no intention of leaving. Although many villagers sent a lot of food to the boat, the jailers all refused. The reason is very simple, there are better ones. The food produced by Luo Ning here is top-notch. They are used to the food at Luo Ning's place. It's not that they can't eat other foods, it's just that they are far from it. Advertisement. So they didn't accept the food, and Luo Ning, since these crew members are his crew for the time being, he will not be stingy. Of course, he didn't care when he got back to Impel Down. Why are you here? Aren't you having a carnival with the villagers? There was still the sound of carnival in the village, but Nami came to the boat. I don't know why, but I always feel a bit out of place with them. Nami shook his head. In fact, it is impossible to say that there is no estrangement. Although people in the village know that Nami is on Arlong's side to help the village, Nami himself cannot overcome this hurdle in his heart. Because of that tattoo, Luo Ning pointed to the tattoo on Nami's arm, which is the symbol of the dragon pirates. Tattoos, I'll forget them if you don't tell me. Nami glanced at the tattoo on his shoulder, and then he pulled out a dagger and was about to scratch it. Don't be so impulsive. Although I know you hate this thing, there is no need to be so rough. This tattoo is very easy to remove. Luo Ning was a little speechless. This little girl is a bit reckless. In fact, there is a tattoo remover in Nami village. It's just that Nami hates the dragon pirate's mark itself to the extreme, coupled with impulsiveness, that's why he thinks of using a dagger directly. After holding Nami's hand, Luo Ning's fantasy power was injected into Nami's body, and the tattoo was eliminated directly. Okay, don't be so impulsive in the future, there are many ways to solve the problem, there is no need to choose the most troublesome one. After finishing the tattoo on Nami's shoulder, Luo Ning said. This disappeared. Nami couldn't believe her eyes, but suddenly remembered what happened to Arlong before. She had cut him many times and was about to die, but Luo Ning rescued him in such a strange way. Yeah, it disappeared. By the way, how did you think about my proposal? Luo Ning asked with a smile. To be honest, even if Nami rejected him, he wouldn't say much, just treat it as charity this time, since he didn't like Arlong anyway. Chapter 42 Smoker arrives open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. What will you do if I refuse? Nami asked. I don't know how to do it, just treat it as charity. People say that a twisted melon is not sweet but quenches thirst, but as a person, I have my own bottom line. I know what to do and what not to do. Luo Ning shook his head. Is he greedy for Nami? Greedy, he admits, he can make a deal with Nami and let Nami be by his side, but he can't do it if he uses force. I see. Let's talk about salary. How much salary do you plan to hire me? Nami also made up her mind. I've helped you so much and you still ask me for a salary. Luo Ning is also speechless. If it were someone else, he would have agreed with her body, but Nami has a personality that values money very much, but Luo Ning doesn't hate it. Of course I need a salary. Think about it. I'll be your navigator. I need food and drink, I need to buy daily necessities, and there are various expenses. If you don't care where I go to find these money. Nami snapped his fingers and began to count the places where Luo Ning needed money. It can only be said that it is Nami. Ha 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 ha. Next, here is your salary, every month. After listening to Nami's words, Luo Ning couldn't help laughing. That's it, this kind of appearance can be called little thieving cat Nami. This is Luo Ning's favorite Nami. Luo Ning directly threw out a small box at this moment, and the box sank immediately in Nami's hands. It's heavy, what's in it? Nami opened the box curiously, and then her eyes lit up, because she saw that there was a real box of gold bars inside, no wonder it was so heavy. These gold bars are imagined by Luo Ning. Luo Ning used the free points obtained from those pirates to modify the fantasy gold when he was on the road. Now the gold imagined by Luo Ning will not disappear. So this thing is worthless to him. Although gold is not particularly rare in the pirate world, it is still valuable. Such a box of gold is enough for Nami to squander for a long time. It's decided, there will be so many every month in the future. Nami held the box like a money fanatic, and when she thought that she could get a box of this kind of gold every month, and there was no danger, just being a navigator, she felt that the future was bright. In this regard, Luo Ning just nodded. After the two chatted for a while, Nami went back. She still needed to talk to Nuo Chigao and pack her things before leaving with Luo Ning. The night passed quickly, and the people in Kekexia village carnivaled until midnight before going back to rest. Advertisement. Early the next morning, another warship appeared at Kokoja village. The leader is Smoker with 2 cigars in his mouth. Should it be said that he is a smoker? This guy has 2 sticks in his mouth, not enough for one. You are Mr. Luo Ning, right? I have received orders from the headquarters to come here to receive prisoners. Is that all? Smoker greeted Luo Ning and saw a group of pirates on the deck. There are still some in the cabin cell below. I will bring the important ones to Impel Down. As for the rest, I will trouble you to accept them. Luo Ning spoke, after which Smoker also nodded, and then asked his subordinates to quickly receive these criminals. By the way, there is one more thing, let the villagers of Kokoja village tell you. Luo Ning brought Smoker to Kokoja village, and then talked to Nami about Colonel Mouse, and Nami knew about Colonel Mouse very well, after all, he had colluded with Arlong. After hearing the ins and outs of the whole incident, the veins on Smoker's forehead popped up. Although Smoker is not a management talent, and he can even be said to be a little bit indifferent, he is also a person with a strong sense of justice. Damn Colonel Mouse, I will find out the situation, if it is true, I will not let him go, but why haven't you gone to Rog Town and other marine divisions to report the situation here for so many years? Smoker asked a little puzzled, this place has been enslaved for 5 years, 5 years, he couldn't understand how these people got here. Even if there is a problem with one Colonel Mouse, why not go to the others? How do I know there is still a good marine? Nami told Smoker what he saw and said at sea these years, which was a shock to Smoker that shattered his 3 views. He couldn't believe his ears, how rotten was the entire East Blue Marine. It will make this girl dare not report this matter after wandering outside for 5 years. Even in the opponent's idea, there are almost no good Marines in the entire East Blue. It's no wonder that the headquarters will suddenly form an inspection team to clean up. Damn it, it's my negligence, sorry. Smoker quickly thought of the news he had received before, that the cleaning plan at the headquarters and the existence of the inspection team were meaningful. Chapter 43 Target Golden Lion Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. Neither Nami nor Nuo Chigao accepted Smoker's apology. After all, they did not blame Smoker, and Smoker did not do this. Although Smoker did have negligence, but they don't need to apologize now. Smoker, I have a suggestion for you, don't drive around in your marine clothes, you really want to find out what's going on, so dress up as a civilian, otherwise you will get fake news. When Smoker was about to leave, Luo Ning gave him a suggestion. To be honest, there are many problems in the setting of Smoker, and there are even some inconsistencies. The setting of Smoker is a person with a sense of justice, the type of Fujitora. But Smoker didn't care about any of the big pirates in East Blue, offering a reward of tens of millions, and Crick even pulled a huge fleet to rush to the Grand Line. If it weren't for the unlucky encounter with Hawkeye, with Crick's situation, he would be able to make a name for himself. But does Smoker care? As if he didn't see it at all, Buggy also occupied the territory, did he take care of it? No, Arlong is okay, after all, he has colluded with the surrounding marines, and just occupied dozens of villages to collect protection fees. He doesn't go out, which is completely different from high-profile figures like Crick and Buggy. And after that, Smoker started to focus on Luffy, and he chased Luffy wherever he went. The heinous pirates didn't see Smoker to catch, chase, and deal with, but instead ran around chasing Luffy who hadn't done anything bad. This point is really weird, it completely conflicts with Smoker's character design. It can only be said that this is a big problem with the plot setting. Otherwise, with Smoker's character, how could he not let go of chasing Luffy, and go after other sea's earlier thief? I see, thank you Mr. Luo Ning for reminding me. Smoker nodded and left. Smoker on the side of Colonel Mouse only needs to ask a few more people in the village to convict him directly. 1 or 2 saying he has a problem is probably false, but what about 100? How about 1,000? In addition, Arlong still has some records of transactions with Colonel Mouse. Colonel Mouse is finished this time, and none of the Marines in his entire branch can escape. Aren't you going to stay at home for a few more days? I still have things to deal with here at East Blue, and I can pick you up when I leave. Luo Ning glanced at Nami, who had already moved the things to the boat with big bags and small bags, and asked in surprise. Although Arlong has been dealt with, shouldn't Nami spend more time with Nakgao? It's not necessary. I used to stay in the village a lot, and it feels weird to continue to stay in the village now. Nuaochigao also supports my decision. In short, I plan to leave with you directly. Nami smiled and said that when everyone was about to leave after moving things, people from Kokosha village also came, but this time there was no such thing as Nami stealing everyone's wallets. Advertisement. After saying goodbye to everyone, the warship set sail again. Mr. Luo Ning, where are we going next? The jailer officer asked again. Now that we've come to East Blue, we're going to find a legendary figure from the past. I'll point out the direction and you guys set sail. Luo Ning took out the compass. This time he came to East Blue to find not only Nami, but also the Golden Lion. Golden Lion is now hiding above East Blue to study his drug, trying to destroy the entire East Blue. As an existence with the same reputation as Roger and others at the beginning, Golden Lion was kicked and crippled by Luffy in the end. It can only be said that it is worthy of being the king of the theater version, Luffy. In the theater version, Luffy is a god, and everyone has to kneel. But the current Golden Lion is not the previous Golden Lion. This guy is going to destroy the entire East Blue because of Roger. It's a brain hole, but this sentence seems to be correct. There is a rudder on this guy's head, isn't there a pit? And there are still several pits. But there is one thing to say, if the Golden Lion's plan is successful, it can indeed destroy East Blue. The medicine he researched can make creatures go berserk and become extremely powerful. How many creatures are there in this sea? Once he gets this kind of thing into the sea beasts in the entire East Blue will riot, and even directly become the type of calm belt sea kings. The whole East Blue has become that situation, and Marine has no strength to fight at all. East Blue has become a paradise for sea beasts. Although his plan sounds a bit weird, it is more practical than Zephyr's idea of bombing New World. But now that he met Luo Ning, his plan could only fail. Where are we going? Nami was a little confused, so Luo Ning commanded the direction of the ship to change constantly. As an excellent navigator, Nami said that he didn't understand. Now they are scurrying across the sea like headless chickens. This situation is really weird. She has also been in the sea for several years, and she has never seen such a situation. Chapter 44 Floating Sky Island Open Black Lens Bracket Favorites Close Black Lens Bracket. Have you heard of the Golden Lion? Luo Ning asked. Golden Lion. I haven't heard of it, who is it? Nami asked curiously. Unlike the manga, there will definitely be some small bugs in the manga, but now it is reality. Nami knows about Shichibukai and the Four Emperors. After all, there are often news about these people in the sea, but Nami has never heard of Golden Lion. In fact, it is normal, Golden Lion escaped from Impel Down too early. And this guy didn't mess around after he escaped, he just hid and researched his own medicine, so there was no news about Golden Lion in the later stage, and Nami didn't even know that there was such a number one person as Golden Lion. A person of the same era as Roger, a member of the previous One Piece Rocks ship before Roger, after the disintegration of the Rocks pirate group, Golden Lion created the Flying Pirate group by himself. It was also a figure as famous as Roger and others back then, and it is also the only legendary pirate who escaped from Impel Down so far. Luo Ning talked about the situation of Golden Lion, and Nami was terrified when he heard it. You don't mean the Golden Lion is in East Blue, we're going to find him now. Nami asked a question that even seemed absurd to her. Congratulations, you got the answer right, but it's a pity that there is no reward. Golden Lion is a lion fruit capable person, flying in the sky, and its position is always changing, so it keeps changing direction. Seeing Nami's absurd look, Luo Ning couldn't help laughing. Naturally, there would be no danger in following him, but there must be some surprises. Is it too late for me to quit now? Nami asked a little bit without tears, it was too much to find such a legendary big pirate. It's late, it's too late to leave after getting on this thief ship, ha 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 ha. Looking at Nami's appearance, Luo Ning couldn't help laughing. Indeed, based on Nami's knowledge, going to find such a big pirate now is equivalent to giving it for nothing, and everyone has to finish the game. Don't worry, Golden Lion is a legendary pirate, but now he is no longer so powerful. Luo Ning shook his head. Golden Lion had a rudder on his head, which in itself was a weakening of him. The older you get, the more serious these injuries will be. After so many years, Golden Lion's strength must have declined greatly. And he has no feet yet, although the fruit ability is heaven-defying, it is just like that in front of Luo Ning. More importantly, Luo Ning really couldn't understand the brain circuit of the Golden Lion. Why did he tie his 2 knives to his legs? Can't it be replaced by something else? Advertisement. As a great swordsman, the double knives are his weapons, but he uses his legs to release the attack. You asked Hawkeye to try the difference between releasing the attack with the legs and releasing the attack with the hands. This is because you dislike yourself for not weakening fast enough, right? To be honest, if Hawkeye knew about Golden Lion's operation, he would probably chase after Golden Lion to slash all over the sea. This kind of brainless operation of the great swordsman would simply embarrass all swordsmen. The current Golden Lion is estimated to be stronger than the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, and it is already very good. Of course, this is in terms of heads up. If it is in terms of destruction, the 3 admirals are no match for the current Golden Lion. Even if it's not that powerful, it's not something we can provoke. Nami was going crazy. What the hell is going on with this guy, to provoke such a powerful existence? Do you think I'm the kind of person who likes to die by himself? Luo Ning looked at Nami speechlessly. There was no way. Nami's vision had not been opened. She didn't understand the situation of the sea at all, and she didn't know Luo Ning's strength. Luo Ning was a ruthless person who was overwhelming the entire Naval Headquarters by himself. In the end, Nami didn't say anything more, but judging from his expression, he still looked hopeless. In this way, after the warship sailed at sea for several days, Luo Ning finally came to the bottom of the floating sky island of Golden Lion. The islands of Golden Lion are so far away from the sea that they are difficult to see with the naked eye. Luo Ning injected the power of fantasy into the ship, and the ship changed rapidly, and then flew into the sky. Fly up. Nami and the other guards were taken aback. Don't panic, I did it, and your attention should be on the sky. After Luo Ning reminded, everyone came to their senses, and then looked into the sky, and soon saw the island of Golden Lion. A dozen islands of different sizes are floating in midair. Is this the ability of the Golden Lion? It's too scary. Nami has learned about the Golden Lion's abilities these days, but he never expected that the Golden Lion can control more than a dozen islands suspended in the sky. It's not an exaggeration. That's right, it's terrifying. He doesn't even need to show up, he can just throw these islands down, but it's a pity that this guy's brain is not very easy to use. In Luo Ning's opinion, the destructive power of Golden Lion is completely superior to that of Whitebeard. Whitebeard is good at playing vibration, but what about Golden Lion? These dozens of islands are thrown directly down, and everything will be smashed for you. This is really scary, okay. And Golden Lion can continue to use this ability. After all, he can keep floating islands in midair. As long as there are enough islands, this guy is the real incarnation of natural disasters. In short, his destructive power is much stronger than Whitebeard. Chapter 45 Golden Lion. Laozi is not dead yet. Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Captain, I found a warship flying in the sky outside. Soon the warships of Luo Ning and others were also discovered by the Golden Lion, and they were quickly reported to the Golden Lion. What? Golden Lion thought he had a hearing problem. How could there be warships flying in the sky? After his little brother told the situation again, Golden Lion also showed a look of you kidding me. Laozi is not dead yet. Do you think Lion Fruit will have a second? Golden Lion said that he didn't believe it at all. This little brother was probably fooling himself, otherwise how could he say such absurd things? The whole world knows that the ship wants to fly freely in the sky, and only he, Golden Lion, can do it. If someone else sees the situation of Luo Ning and others, he probably thinks that the Golden Lion has died. Luo Ning got the lion fruit, so he can do this, but he is the real Golden Lion, can he not be sure? Can you live or die? It's the real captain, I really didn't lie. The little brother of Golden Lion was about to cry, and he also felt very puzzled, but the warship was right there on his face, and he could see it when he opened his eyes. He thought he was hallucinating before, but everyone else saw it too. There is such a thing. Laozi, go and see, if you lie to Laozi, you will die. Golden Lion was also very surprised. His younger brother said this with such certainty, so there is a high probability that it is true. He is also very puzzled now, and he followed his younger brother to the outside. At this moment, he also saw the warship suspended in midair. It turned out to be true. Is there anyone with the same ability as Laozi? Golden Lion didn't talk nonsense, and flew directly towards the warship. He wanted to see who was on it. After coming over the warship, Golden Lion also saw the people on the deck. As this guy the Golden Lion? It looks majestic. Looking at the Golden Lion in the sky, Nami felt a kind of pressure, which is quite normal. After all, the Golden Lion was also a legend back then, and had hockey that others did not have. Impel Down's jailer. It's not Marine. Golden Lion was a little surprised when he saw the people on the ship. He didn't expect that the people on the warship turned out to be the jailers of Impel Down. Golden Lion, it's time to go home, your neighbors are waiting for you to go back. Advertisement. Luo Ning glanced at the Golden Lion and said. Go home. Neighbors, are you here to arrest Laozi? Ha 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 ha. How funny, Laozi is a Golden Lion, and you rotten fish and rotten shrimps are also trying to arrest Laozi. Golden Lion is quite disdainful towards Luo Ning. He has been paying attention to the situation at sea all the time, and he is aware of some powerful newcomers appearing at sea. But this does not include Luo Ning. Luo Ning is the first time he has seen him, and he is so young, and he wants to arrest himself with a group of jailers. Marine Admiral also needs Kizaru to come. Moonwalk, but there was no way to catch him. After laughing, the golden lion stretched out his legs directly, and then slashed, and the blade on his leg burst out a huge golden slash. Golden Lion is a great swordsman, even a slash from his legs can split the sea in an instant, but this attack is really too weak to be seen by a real strong man. Luo Ning stretched out his hand directly, and the slash was just in front of his palm, and he couldn't make any more progress. Immediately after he exerted force with his hand, the slash was crushed directly. Interesting. Golden Lion's eyes lit up, he could crush his own slash so easily. But in the next second, he found that Luo Ning had already dodged directly in front of him, and punched him directly. The speed is so fast that Golden Lion can't react at all. Although Golden Lion can also hockey, but his hockey has been weakened to a certain extent, and it is basically impossible to catch Luo Ning who has used the haste ability. With such super speed and super strength, Golden Lion's body was blown away like a golden cannonball, and hit an iceberg island. It took a few kilometers to barely stop. At this moment, Golden Lion was in extreme pain. Luo Ning punched his abdomen, and now his abdomen was directly deformed. After finally stopping, Golden Lion spurted out a mouthful of old blood. Worthy of being a legend of the older generation. Although I didn't use my full strength, this blow turned out to be only a serious injury, which is pretty serious. Luo Ning's words reached the ears of the jailers and Nami, and everyone couldn't help giving Luo Ning a thumbs up at the moment. Seriously wounding such a legend with one punch, but also to praise him for being strong, I can only say that he is indeed a big boss. In fact, compared to Nami, the jailers were more calm. After all, Luo Ning's previous record was there. Marine Admiral and the hero Vice Admiral Garp, two candidates for the grand prize, and so many Marines were hammered by Luo Ning. Although Golden Lion is also a legend, compared with the previous lineup, it is still a lot inferior. Chapter 46. The Golden Lion that became a test product. Open black lens bracket collection. Close black lens bracket. Ahem. Where did this strong man come from? Although it only took one blow, Golden Lion has already determined that Luo Ning is a strong man. Just one punch hammered him like this, and he couldn't react at all, so he couldn't defend with armament hockey. It can only be said that Golden Lion has regressed too much, and Luo Ning did not exert his full strength, and he became like this. Luo Ning doubted that if he exerted all his strength, he would directly hammer Golden Lion to death. Lion Majesty. Golden Lion gritted his teeth, held back the pain, and planned to control the surrounding islands to use big moves. However, before he had time to release the move, Luo Ning appeared in front of him again, and then he punched out again. This punch directly opened a hole in Golden Lion's abdomen. How is this possible? Golden Lion couldn't understand at all, he couldn't react to Luo Ning's speed and strength at all. Luo Ning's strength is too strong. In the case of no release of water, it takes seconds to beat the current Golden Lion. If the Golden Lion is at its peak, it may be more troublesome to deal with, but the Golden Lion in this period is really not good. Sample. With a hole in his abdomen, the Golden Lion still has no strength to resist. Such a serious injury is simply not something he can bear with his current old lion. The island suspended in the air began to shake, and the shaking was getting bigger and bigger. It looks like the Golden Lion's ability is about to expire. You can't hang up now, I still count on you to try it. Luo Ning intends to use the Golden Lion as a test object. It is reasonable to say that the freedom point cannot be obtained from one person repeatedly, but it is not absolute. What if this person becomes stronger? Luo Ning has never tried it before, so now he plans to try it with Golden Lion. Because Golden Lion has been silent for so many years, age, the rudder on his head, and his legs are constantly weakening his combat power. So the current Golden Lion is stronger than Vice Admiral in the headquarters. Of course, it is a frontal battle. If Golden Lion is to use his ability to kite others, he has nothing to do except Kizaru. Especially if the Golden Lion just pulls the island up to a certain height and then drops it, it's really scary. Just the free fall of the island itself can cause terrible damage. So in terms of frontal combat ability, whether the current Golden Lion can beat Momosuke or not, they all have questions, but if he is a little more sloppy and uses his ability to fight, then he is still the top combat power in the sea. Advertisement. But his current Lion Fruit ability is useless to Luo Ning, so Golden Lion's strength was once suppressed to this extent. Luo Ning wants to try to heal the Golden Lion. Although it will not make the Golden Lion reach its peak, it can also restore part of the Golden Lion's strength. Now the free points provided by Golden Lion cannot be compared with his name, and the amount obtained is less than that of Aokiji. This is because of his strong ability. Otherwise, with his physical fitness, he would not be able to get so much. Be free. The power of illusion quickly spread to Golden Lion, and the big hole in his body began to recover quickly. Luo Ning then pulled out the knives on his legs and the rudder on his head. Both the rudder and the two knives had grown into the Golden Lion's flesh for a long time. The pain was unbearable what? But the moment it was pulled out, the holes in Golden Lion's head were repaired, and the legs gradually grew out. Luo Ning had to admire the Visionary's ability. The Visionary's ability was really heaven-defying. You know, even life can be created directly. Besides, in Luo Ning's opinion, the most heaven-defying thing is the power of healing. Although the fantasist's ability cannot be maintained forever, the healing ability is imagined. When the fantasy is interrupted, the opponent's injuries have been completely healed. So even if the illusion is interrupted, there is no problem. In Luo Ning's opinion, this ability is really heaven-defying. Even the regeneration of severed limbs is the pediatrics of the pediatrics in front of Luo Ning. As long as the person is not dead, Luo Ning can regenerate no matter how mutilated the body is, but there is no way for the person to die. Luo Ning can create life, but the created life is connected to his fantasy, which already belongs to a new life, and once his fantasy is disconnected, the other party will disappear directly. So once a person dies, Luo Ning has no way to save him, at least he can't do it now. At this moment, Golden Lion's head has recovered, and his legs have grown out, but Haki, who has not practiced for a long time, will not come back so easily. Now, although his strength has recovered a bit, in Luo Ning's eyes, he is still not very strong. Recovery. Recovery. You have completely recovered. Who are you? Why did you save me? Golden Lion's tone changed. He couldn't understand Luo Ning's thoughts. He was almost certain to die in the situation just now, but this man actually saved himself. This strange healing method is simply incredible. Chapter 47 The Golden Lion Who Failed Again. Open black lens bracket for collection. Close black lens bracket. Don't get me wrong, I cured you just to test it, and I'll still send you back to Impel Down. Luo Ning said indifferently, but as for Golden Lion, his expression changed. What does this mean? Look down on him, Golden Lion. After defeating him, he also healed all his injuries. What does this mean? It means that the other party looked down on the former self, and now he has cured himself, in order to defeat the stronger self. When did he Golden Lion experience such humiliation, and Roger went hand in hand back then, even if he was caught, it was because of attacking Naval Headquarters. And it took Marine 3 days to catch him, and half the cost of Naval Headquarters being destroyed to catch him, but in the end. Didn't he escape from Impel Down? Golden Lion is very proud, even Roger doesn't think he can surpass himself. With such a high and arrogant heart, Luo Ning's words naturally broke the defense at this moment. Who do you think Laozi is? Golden Lion's eyes were red at the moment, and at this moment he was covered with armament Haki, but Luo Ning really didn't want to complain about the strength of this Haki, it was too weak. Golden Lion's current Haki is not to say that it has degenerated to the lowest level, but it is not bad. You know, something like armament Haki is related to physical fitness. Just now Golden Lion didn't use the armed color because he didn't have time to use it, but now, he directly covered his whole body with Haki. Boom. However, in the next second, Luo Ning's fist fell again. This time, Luo Ning did not stop, but broke out with all his strength, with terrifying physical fitness and imaginary super strange power. This time, Golden Lion's body turned into a meteor and fell directly from the sky. Golden Lion didn't even react, but a sharp pain came. Although armament Haki resisted part of the force, most of the force remained unchanged. He couldn't even try to use his ability to stop himself from falling, so he went all the way down, and under this punch, his newly recovered body was seriously injured again, and many bones were broken. No, I'm going to fall into the sea. Golden Lion's face turned green. Sea water is what ability users are most afraid of. He was directly bombarded from a height of 10,000 meters. The impact of this strange force was completely unstoppable. Once he fell into the sea water, his ability user was basically useless. But he couldn't stop this force, the force was too strong, the Golden Lion was like a meteor smashing directly into the sea. Can it still be like this? Advertisement. Luo Ning was also a little speechless. Although Golden Lion didn't block his punch just now, he still had the power to fight again, but now he fell directly into the sea, which meant that Golden Lion lost. Even Aunts and the others wouldn't feel any better if they fell into the sea, let alone the current Golden Lion. The moment Golden Lion entered the sea, Luo Ning received a free point again, but not much, it should be the free point brought by the part of Golden Lion's recovered power. Now the results of the experiment are out. Luo Ning defeated Golden Lions with different strengths once each. The freedom points obtained are that the stronger the enemy, the more enemies he has defeated. Some free points can be obtained. Although it is not a lot, it can be regarded as an account. Golden Lion fell into the sea, and the islands he controlled lost control and began to fall. Luo Ning also quickly fished the Golden Lion out of the sea, otherwise the pair of islands falling from this height would be quite terrifying. As for these islands, before they fell into the sea, they were also directly smashed to pieces by Luo Ning, turning into rubble and falling into the sea. It would be really bad if these dozens of islands were allowed to fall from this height. In the end, Golden Lion was once again restrained by seastone chains, his hands, feet, neck and so on were all controlled. This is also the current standard of restraint for the strong by Impel Down. No way, who told Golden Lion to cut off his own legs and leave the big prison? At that time, few people would have thought that Golden Lion would do this. A strong person attaches great importance to his own limbs. Let alone Garp, if one hand is missing, then Garp's strength will naturally be greatly affected. Since the Golden Lion escaped from prison, all strong men imprisoned in Impel Down are bound by various chains, and the main restraint is no longer their legs, but their hands. You can't break your hands. I didn't expect this old man to be caught by Marine for the second time, and he's still a junior who has never heard of it before. Golden Lion's eyes fixed on Luo Ning, he knew that he couldn't escape this time, and everything on the island was shattered, he didn't have so much time to start all over again, and now his heart died. Correct me, I'm not a Marine, and I'm not here to arrest you as a Marine. Luo Ning shook his head and corrected what Golden Lion said. Chapter 48 The Golden Lion's Expectation Open black lens bracket collection close black lens bracket. Not Marine. You really don't have the costumes of Impel Down and Marine on your body. Who are you? You don't look like someone from the CP organization. After a moment of surprise, Golden Lion also realized that Luo Ning's current appearance is indeed very strange, without any uniform on his body. You know, these clothes are signs of power. Technically, I was a prisoner a while ago, but I've temporarily subdued Marine and now live in Impel Down. Luo Ning didn't elaborate on his experience, it was unnecessary, and simply told Golden Lion. Prisoner before, so you're the second person to rush out of Impel Down after Laozi. Ha 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 ha. Golden Lion couldn't help laughing. Luo Ning was a prisoner before, and now he doesn't belong to any faction. Being defeated by such a person, he feels a little better now. Then why did you come to catch Laozi? Golden Lion couldn't help asking, since Luo Ning doesn't belong to these forces, why did he come to arrest him? It's okay to tell you. I plan to build Impel Down into my own faction, break away from the Marine and World Government, and arrest you because I happen to pass by East Blue, and I know you're here, so it's just incidental. Maybe sometime I'll grab a few celestial dragons and throw them in the Impel Down. Luo Ning said something that made Golden Lion stunned. Ha 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 ha, it's so interesting, boy, Laozi's goal was completely destroyed, and he didn't plan to live anymore, but your boy's statement is so interesting. Laozi has decided not to die. Laozi wants to watch you capture celestial dragons into Impel Down, don't you get killed by the world government first. Golden Lion already had a death wish in his heart, but after hearing Luo Ning's words, he didn't want to die anymore, and he had to wait and see the result. Whether it was Luo Ning who suppressed the world government to capture the celestial dragons, or the world government who got rid of Luo Ning, in short, he was really looking forward to the result after that, and now he has no intention of dying at all. Really, it turns out that you wanted to commit suicide before, but I won't disappoint you if nothing happens. Then you just wait honestly to go back and meet your old neighbors. After Luo Ning left a sentence, he didn't say anything more, and asked people to throw Golden Lion into the cabin cell. As for the conversation just now, Luo Ning didn't mean to hide anything, so what if it was sent back to Naval Headquarters? If you have the ability, Naval Headquarters will send people to deal with him, will he be afraid? Won't. Of course, Luo Ning is now accompanied by a small oil bottle, but this is not a big problem. He can leave some fantasy power on Nami, not to mention more, it is no problem to ensure Nami's safety. Advertisement. You don't really plan to attack celestial dragons. Nami didn't know what kind of monster she was following. She took down monsters like Golden Lion 3 times, 5 times and 2 times, and even threatened to deal with celestial dragons. Thinking about it, she was terrified. She naturally knows what kind of people celestial dragons are. They are world nobles and are called gods. Anyway, Nami's only thought now is that Luo Ning is crazy. I said it, but it depends on the individual whether you believe it or not. Besides, have I done such a thing now? No, they can't just make trouble for me just because of a word of mine. Luo Ning said indifferently, now he is not afraid of world government at all, the only thing that makes him uncertain is the so-called Uranus and I am. But as long as the strength is strong enough, these things are also chickens and dogs in front of him. So Luo Ning doesn't care at all, he and Marine and the world government are bound to fight, and there will be a big fight, but now Marine doesn't dare to do anything to him until he finds out his details. Even if this word was passed back to the ears of Sengoku and 5 elders, those guys didn't dare to do anything to him. After hearing Luo Ning's words, Nami has nothing to say. Forget it, I don't care, where do we go next? To Impel Down. Nami already knew something about Luo Ning, and the criminals on this ship were going to be sent to Impel Down. It's time to go back, and then go find another person, and help you improve your strength by the way. Luo Ning nodded. Besides Nami, Luo Bing would naturally also take away, but for now let's send back the Arlong Golden Lion and others on the boat. And Luo Ning also has an idea about thunder fruit, of course, it's not that he wants to eat it himself, but he intends to give it to Nami. This fruit is very suitable for Nami, but it has been eaten by Enel now. But as long as the ability user is killed, the fruit will reappear in other places. As long as he prepares enough fruits, he has a chance to get thunder fruit. He can use his fantasy, he can even create millions of fruits. Luo Ning still doesn't believe it, so he can't let thunder fruit regenerate by his side. In short, the more fruits there are, the higher the probability is, so he will definitely give it a try. Chapter 49 Sengoku with a big head open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. What? Golden Lion was arrested. Was arrested by Luo Ning. Are you sure the news is true? After the Golden Lion was arrested, the news was quickly passed to Sengoku, and Sengoku was also extremely excited at the moment. You must know that the disappearance of the Golden Lion for so many years has always been a heart problem for Marine. No one knows what the Golden Lion is planning, and everyone is worried that one day an island will fall from the sky and hit the Naval Headquarters. In short, the Golden Lion is a heart disease, but now he has been caught. But soon Sengoku couldn't be happy, because he heard another piece of news, that is, the news that Luo Ning planned to occupy Impel Down. In fact, this one is okay. Luo Ning occupied Impel Down, not because he didn't want to accept prisoners, but he planned to catch more criminals and bring them back, so at worst, he just sent them there and it was over. With Luo Ning sitting in Impel Down, he doesn't think anyone can escape from Impel Down. But what made him uncomfortable was the latter sentence. Luo Ning actually had thoughts about celestial dragons, and he, Sengoku, looked down on celestial dragons, and even hated celestial dragons, but this celestial dragons happened to be protected by the world government. The world government is their immediate boss, and the celestial dragons will dispatch Marine Admiral if they are beaten. If Luo Ning really attacked celestial dragons, the consequences would be disastrous, and Marine would definitely fight Luo Ning in all aspects. It's not that Sengoku doesn't want to win Luo Ning, but the biggest problem now is that he can't win. For a strong player like Luo Ning, the number advantage is gone. Vice Admiral and below were directly overwhelmed by the opponent's ability similar to Conqueror's Haki, which had no effect at all. As for the combat power of Vice Admiral and Vice Admiral, who would dare to touch the bone and become like a biscuit? Even if people don't move Haki, they still have tricks to attack Logia ability users. For a while, only he knows what Aokiji looks like. Because of the severe pain, Aokiji can't sleep at all. Even if he finally falls asleep due to mental weakness due to continuous torture, he will be awakened by the pain soon. After that, Aokiji was given anesthesia to sleep, so that he could fall asleep, but this kind of torture still greatly affected Aokiji's state. Now Sengoku can see the blood in Aokiji's eyes whenever he sees Aokiji. As Admiral, Aokiji's willpower is naturally extremely hard, but even steel can't withstand a little bit of wear and tear. Under constant wear and tear, even the hardest things will break one day. Aokiji is the perfect example right now. He couldn't find a way to deal with Luo Ning. Once Marine started a battle with Luo Ning, he couldn't afford the loss at all. Even if he lost most of his combat power and took Luo Ning in the end, what about the future? Advertisement. Marine's combat power will definitely be severely damaged, and the pirates will not be able to be suppressed at all. Some pirates will not let go of this good opportunity, and Marine will be in danger by then. So when Sengoku thought that he might start a war with Luo Ning in a short time, he felt bad. Why the celestial dragons? Sengoku slammed his fist on his desk, and under the horrified eyes of the goat beside him, the desk was smashed into pieces, and documents flew everywhere. This actually means that Sengoku has been forced into a hurry. You know, even if Sengoku can't control his emotions, he would just roar a few words and finish the job, but this time he even smashed the table. Forget it, let the 5 elders have a headache. Sengoku reported the situation directly, and he couldn't hide it anyway. Such news would be known soon with 5 elders' intelligence capabilities. He wasn't worried that the 5 elders would let them do it, and the 5 elders were not brain dead, they just focused on the interests of the world government, and they wouldn't directly attack Luo Ning just because of a word. It's not in their interest to do so, so at most they can be furious, and then let him speed up the investigation of Luo Ning's ability. It's that simple, reporting it won't cause any big problems, and he doesn't need to worry himself, so it's very straightforward reported. This time there is something about the Golden Lion in addition to the Celestial Dragons. These are all things that need to be reported. Sure enough, as Sengoku thought, there was a roar from the 5 elders, and then it quickly stopped, and then he was asked to speed up the detection of Luo Ning's ability and find the weakness as soon as possible. Sengoku is also somewhat disdainful of this. Although the intelligence network of Marine and world government is very large, there is really nothing to do with Luo Ning now. The origin cannot be found, it seems to appear out of thin air, the ability is not clear, and there is no way to deal with the known abilities. In short, their huge intelligence network is completely ineffective here at Luo Ning. Anyway, he's tried his best, but maybe it's not his fault. At worst, 5 elders will quit if he doesn't let him go. He has long wanted to throw away the burden of marshal, but 5 elders has never allowed it, and he is also looking for a suitable marshal candidate, otherwise Marine's situation may become even worse, which is not what he wants to see. Chapter 50 Back to Impel Down Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. The ship went back all the way, and Nami had been learning sailing knowledge from the jailer on board for a while. Although Nami's talent is very good, but now she has entered the Grand Line, not in the 4 seas, and Nami has good qualifications, she also needs to learn, and now she has learned a lot of very good sailing knowledge. This also surprised Nami, since this is a warship, only some blind lunatics dare to move it. As for other pirates, as long as they have a little brain, they will not move the warship casually. But even so, when they returned to Impel Down, the cell was crowded again. Some of them were encountered by Luo Ning and others. They belonged to the heinous kind, so they were also arrested by Luo Ning. Of course, Golden Lion has special treatment, he is alone in the cell, and Arlong and other Murlocs are locked up on the other side. During this time, Arlong is also terrified. As a person who has been in a large prison once, he naturally knows what kind of existence the Golden Lion is. After all, Golden Lion was the only one to get away from Impel Down when he was in there, and that was legend among legends. But now, Golden Lion has also been arrested. When he knew that the opponent was Golden Lion, he was in a bad mood. Golden Lion can be caught. God knows how strong Luo Ning is. In short, he is really scared. During this period of time, they honestly didn't dare to say a word, unless the Golden Lion asked them some questions. Golden Lion was also bored and asked about the situation of these guys, and then he looked disdainful. Especially for Arlong, who found dozens of villages to collect protection fees, and only dared to attack ordinary people, the Golden Lion naturally disdained to the extreme, and Arlong dared not show his contempt for the Golden Lion. Although the other party is a prisoner like himself, Arlong can't compare with Golden Lion at all, and the two are not of the same magnitude at all. I didn't expect the other party to go out and capture the Golden Lion. At the gate of Impel Down, everyone has arrived except Shiryu. Shiryu dare not appear in front of Luo Ning now. But Magellan and others can't do without showing up. But at the moment Magellan was a bit conflicted in his emotions. On the one hand, he was a little disgusted with Luo Ning's return. After all, he was a prisoner before, but fortunately he knew why Luo Ning came in, which made him feel better. After all, it is not very pleasant to be held down by a criminal all the time. The other party is obviously wronged, so strictly speaking, he is not considered a prisoner, but it is not very pleasant to be held down by one person. On the one hand, he is also somewhat grateful to Luo Ning. Why? Naturally, it was because of Golden Lion. When Golden Lion escaped, he was still the deputy director of Impel Down. Impel Down has always been called an absolutely impenetrable prison, but it was broken by Golden Lion in their hands. Now that Golden Lion has been captured, he is naturally happy, and he is also somewhat grateful to Luo Ning. Mr. Luo Ning, welcome back. Advertisement. Magellan also had a crying face. Don't force yourself if you can't laugh. If I were in your place, I'd probably be black now. The prisoners on the ship are handed over to you. By the way, the one named Arlong, please ask other people to take care of him a bit more, and let him enjoy the first floor to the fifth floor. Luo Ning said, although the second floor is already scrapped, but with Marine's financial and material resources, it's not a problem to get some beasts to train and throw them in later. Arlong definitely needs to focus on taking care of it. I see, then Golden Lion. Magellan asked. You can figure it out for yourself, just follow your process. Luo Ning didn't bother to care, but when Magellan saw the Golden Lion again, his face became a little weird. Because the rudder on Golden Lion's head disappeared, his legs also recovered. Speaking of which, Luo Ning had already lost 2 of Golden Lion's knives. He had no feeling for these knives, and these knives had been at Golden Lion's broken leg for so many years, so he just threw them away. Magellan, the young boy from back then, is now the director of Impel Down. Naturally, Golden Lion also knew that Magellan, the deputy director at the time, was poisoned by the prisoners. That's right, speaking of it, there's your reason here, but now you're back, although your injuries have recovered, but this time, you absolutely don't want to escape from Impel Down. Magellan's eyes were fixed on the Golden Lion. Ha 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 ha, even if you want to let Laozi go this time, Laozi will not leave. Laozi will see if this kid can do what he said. Golden Lion doesn't care at all, his ambition is completely shattered, and now he has nothing. So Golden Lion didn't bother to continue wandering outside, everything has become a foregone conclusion. But he has to wait and see if Luo Ning can capture the celestial dragons into the Impel Down. If he really captures them, then it will be fun. Golden Lion became a little excited when he thought of that scene. Chapter 51. The boiling 6th floor open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. I hope this doesn't happen. Magellan was startled by Golden Lion's words, but soon he was relieved. After all, he also knew what Luo Ning said. The jailers on the Luo Ning ship went down from Impel, and they did not have the right or access to directly connect with Naval Headquarters, so the information was sent back to Naval Headquarters from Magellan. All the news went around to Magellan, and now the Golden Lion is like this, obviously because Luo Ning said before that he would also capture the celestial dragons. To be honest, Magellan is also extremely distressed now. What if one day Luo Ning really catches celestial dragons? Although he is not happy with those celestial dragons, it does not mean that he dares to touch celestial dragons. Once he does, the consequences will be disastrous. But even if he didn't want to move now, Luo Ning might really go for it. If the celestial dragons were caught, it would be a big trouble. He had the world government on his back, and the celestial dragons were on top of him. Once the celestial dragons are captured, it's not a matter of whether he saves them or not. After all, the world government won't trouble him after all, but can he save someone from Luo Ning? Don't be ridiculous. Let's not save him. The world government can't spare him. That's why he said being caught in the middle is the hardest thing to be a human being. Now Magellan can only pray that Naval Headquarters will find a way to deal with Luo Ning soon, or that Luo Ning is just joking, otherwise he really doesn't want to. It's good to know what to do. No matter how tangled and distressed Magellan is now, Golden Lion is still imprisoned on the 6th floor. When Golden Lion entered the 6th floor, which was originally quiet, became chaotic. Shiki, you have been caught again. Wait, how did your leg recover? Seeing the Golden Lion being captured, the prisoners here were overwhelmed. Back then, many people watched the Golden Lion escape with a broken leg. Many people hoped that the Golden Lion could take them out. But at that time, Golden Lion didn't pay attention to these people. In fact, Golden Lion himself knew very well that taking these people out would not help him, and would even bring him a lot of trouble. It is too difficult for people on the 6th floor to tame, so the Golden Lion ran away by himself, and many prisoners here are worried about this matter. Even they have been waiting for the Golden Lion to be captured again, but after waiting and waiting, there is no news of the Golden Lion. They thought that the Golden Lion had died outside, but they didn't expect that the Golden Lion would come back now. Although I don't know why the rudder on the opponent's head disappeared and why the legs recovered, but this is not a big deal, as long as this guy comes back to accompany them. Golden Lion, you didn't agree to take Laozi out with you back then. If you took Laozi with you, how could it be so easy to be caught? That's right, although you escaped, what can you do? Didn't you come back to accompany us in the end? One by one the prisoners began to yell. Of course, some of them did not yell, such as the Red Earl and others. They disdained these yelling guys to the extreme. Advertisement. Shut up to Laozi. Laozi has been arrested again, but Laozi has been out for so many years, none of you trash can escape here, and dare to shout in front of Laozi. Golden Lion didn't care about that much, and went straight to it. This time, the sixth floor fell silent for an instant, but then started roaring again. After all, the sixth floor is full of madmen, and it is impossible to shut up these people. What's more, Golden Lion has no way to deal with these guys now, they can only curse a few words. Boom. However, in the next second, a wave of Conqueror's Haki directly swept across the sixth floor, making the clamoring people quiet again. A group of trash, it's too noisy, please be quiet. It was Bullet who released Conqueror's Haki, and Bullet was extremely displeased with the clamor of these people. Wouldn't it be nice to be quiet? What a monster, to be able to grow stronger in this situation, and to release Conqueror's Haki so easily. The Red Earl shook his head. The people locked here basically have no physical strength. Usually he doesn't even bother to talk, just to save energy, but what about Bullet? Can also become stronger, and can also release Conqueror's Haki, which is simply outrageous. He even felt that if it wasn't for Bullet's demon fruit power, the other party would probably have escaped directly. Now Seastone's restraint on devil fruit is Bullet's biggest shackle. Bullet. Golden Lion glanced at the direction of the sound. He would never forget this sound, and he was very familiar with everyone on Roger's ship. Thanks to the threat of the conquerors, the sixth floor was finally quiet. Damn Bullet. Seeing the fallen jailers around him, Magellan was also helpless. He was about to suppress it just now, but Bullet released the conqueror's Haki first, causing all the jailers around him to fall down. In the end, Magellan put Golden Lion in a cell and gave Golden Lion a big meal. Now it is impossible for Golden Lion to use the previous method to escape. Chapter 52 Impel Down Luxury Villa Open Black Lens Bracket Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. This villa is not bad, it looks good. Luo Ning looked at the 4-story villa in front of him. Magellan had already had the villa repaired during the time he went out. Since there was no room left in Impel Down, some houses were demolished to build the villa. The technology tree of One Piece world is a bit crooked, but at least the aesthetics are acceptable. I always feel that such a house here is out of place with other places. Nami complained behind Luo Ning. The surrounding buildings were all of the more serious kind, and suddenly such a house popped up. It felt really weird. It's like a pool of white suddenly appearing in the blackness. Why do you care so much? Luo Ning didn't care about the style of the painting, but went straight in. There are not many decorations in the villa. After all, this is Impel Down. Even if they let them do it, it won't be very good. Afterwards, Luo Ning will find someone else to fix it, or wait until he saves a little more freedom to perfect his ability as a fantasist. There is no need to imagine special things, just ordinary ones. Fortunately, now Luo Ning doesn't need to worry about food. He can easily imagine food, drink, etc. Of course, it can only be ordinary food, and don't think about dragon liver and phoenix gallbladder. Nami followed Luo Ning to learn about Impel Down. Arlong was taken special care of. These floors will be enjoyed by Arlong. He is also a very special prisoner. Impel Down is so scary. After Nami learned about the situation of Impel Down, her whole body was not well. When she thought of those punishments, she was a little terrified. As for Arlong, she would have no mercy. Arlong deserved to die, but she couldn't do it herself. But after learning about Impel Down, she realized that sometimes, living is more painful than dying. Luo Ning stayed in Impel Down for a while, and during this time, the news that Golden Lion was arrested again spread throughout the sea. Golden Lion was originally one of the legends, so being arrested again naturally caused quite a commotion, but it was only a commotion. After the fluctuation, it was calm again. Luo Ning stayed in Impel Down for a while, and then he also felt bored. After all, there was nothing to do here all day. So Luo Ning went to sea again. It was still the same warship as before. Sengoku and others broke into a cold sweat when he went to sea. If every time Luo Ning can get some big pirates like the Golden Lion, then they must be very happy. But now they are afraid that Luo Ning will go to Sabayati Archipelago, because the celestial dragons come and go frequently here. Luo Ning said before that he would attack the celestial dragons. Of advertisement. But the celestial dragons can't control it, so Sengoku can only be scared. He is really envious of Garp now. The cleansing of East Blue is more successful than that of several other sea areas, but this is not due to Garp. When Garp arrived in East Blue, he threw the blame on Smoker and headed home to find his grandson. Sengoku is extremely envious of Garp's free and easy, but the burden on his shoulders is too heavy, and he can't help it. Now he can only let the jailers keep an eye on Luo Ning to prevent any accidents. Now that the jailers have the authority to directly connect with Sengoku, the information will flow into Sengoku's hands firsthand. Okay, don't be too distressed, at least now we have a breakthrough point, although it is a bit despicable, but we have done a lot of such things. Seeing Sengoku's headache, Crane said, and Sengoku's face became a little gloomy. Why? Because the breakthrough they mentioned was Nami beside Luo Ning. This is the only breakthrough they can find now. Although it seems that they are extremely despicable, have they done such things rarely? Not a lot. For the sake of absolute justice, Sengoku has issued many dirty orders, but he has no choice. After all, even if he doesn't do it, the world government will bypass him and do it directly, so it's better for him to do it himself. The more he got to the top, the more he knew these things. He himself knew all the orders he had given. If it wasn't for Marine, Sengoku really wanted to laugh at himself. What kind of justice is this kind of justice? There must be a battle between us and him, it's just a matter of time. Although this approach is a bit despicable, it is better than sacrificing our people. Crane didn't care at all. she was standing on Marine's side. It had nothing to do with other justice, the key was to keep the people on her side. As for whether the means are despicable or not, her old face has already given up on it. It's true, this is the only breakthrough we have now, I hope we don't come to this point. Sengoku shook his head, and then went to deal with other things, and he couldn't just wait for Luo Ning's information all day. Chapter 53 Going to Sky Island, an unexpected encounter open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. After the ship set sail, one of Luo Ning's targets was Robin and the other was Thunder Fruit. According to the sailing route, the first place to arrive should be Sky Island, so Luo Ning plans to get the Thunder Fruit first. As for Enel, he is a fool, so killing him is no big deal. Where are we going next? Nami asked curiously. During this period of time, she has learned a lot of sailing knowledge in Impel Down, and now she is planning to show her skills. Go to the vicinity of Gaia Island, and talk about it later. Luo Ning gave the direction, and when the location is known, there is no need to use his compass. After Nami left, Luo Ning thought about it, and then a clone appeared beside him. The clone appeared and nodded to Luo Ning's body before leaving. Luo Ning thought about it carefully, and just in case, he sent his avatar to Kokosha village. Although it needs a small part of his fantasy and Reiatsu to be maintained all the time, so that the clone will not dissipate, it is also necessary. Nami is different from Robin. Robin is a loner, but Nami also has a hometown and a sister. Nami is the only weakness around him. There is no humanity at all in the world government, so Luo Ning also knows that these guys will definitely stare at Nami, and this is the only way to target him. And Nami has been by his side, and it is difficult to get it, so naturally only Nuauchigao from Kokosha village can get it. So Luo Ning asked his avatar to guard over there, just in case, before it would be too late to make things happen. This can be regarded as the backhand left by Luo Ning. I didn't think about it before, but now I think about it when I go to sea. Because of a small part of Luo Ning's fantasy effect, the avatar has many abilities, and it is estimated that it will not take long to reach Kokosha village. After all, the avatar uses flying and is very fast. After finishing all this, Luo Ning waited for the boat to arrive at Gaia Island. But after sailing for a day, there was a small accident. There are pirates coming to rob us again. These guys really want to die. Go and inform Mr. Luo Ning. Encountering pirates again is already commonplace for the jailers on warships. There are always some dead faces that dare to attack warships, and there are many lunatics in the world of pirates. Of course, part of it is because there is no vision at all, just like Crick, he provoked Hawkeye when he entered the Grand Line, and was chased by Hawkeye and cut back to East Blue. The fleet was also cut down to only one ship, and even in the end the ship was still cut down by Hawkeye. Advertisement. These pirates are all done by Luo Ning himself. After all, there are free points to take when dealing with these pirates. Although there are not many of them, mosquitoes are still meat no matter how small they are. So he never let other people do it for the pirates he encountered all the time, but did it himself. Now that pirates have been discovered again, it is naturally his dish. That's a warship. Are we really going to rob a warship? At this moment, on the opposite pirate ship, some pirates were asking the two people around him. There were two people beside him, an extremely short old woman, and a tall and strong man. These two people are Edward Weevil and Miss Bajan. Of course, it remains to be verified whether Weevil's last name is this. Shut up. With my son here, what is a mere warship? Miss Ba Jin regards her silly son as very important. Of course, whether it is her son also remains to be verified. It turned out to be these two guys. On the other side, Luo Ning also came out after receiving the news, and then saw Weevil and Miss Bajan. He is very familiar with these two guys. After all, Weevil was still the one who cut off Zephyr's arm. Judging from the time, this guy was only in his 20s when he cut off Zephyr's arm, and he was considered a super powerful existence. Of course, Zephyr was also old at the time, and Zephyr had a lot of oil bottles around him, so it was not unacceptable to Luo Ning that Weevil could cut off Zephyr's arm. Even Luo Ning suspected that Weevil was really Whitebeard's son. Why did he say that? Mainly because of the reaction of the Whitebeard pirates. Weevil and Miss Bajan have always played under the banner of Whitebeard, but Whitebeard has not been seen. You must know that playing the banner of 4 emperors casually is not a joke. And Weevil's strength is not weak. Whitebeard probably already knew about such a person. If he is fake, then the question arises, why didn't Whitebeard take action to deal with it? Even if Whitebeard doesn't make a move, none of the captains under him will make a move against Weevil. Not to mention the question of whether they can fight or not, they really didn't do anything, so there are some problems. If you know and don't do anything, does that mean you have acquiesced? As for Miss Ba Jin, this guy is also the most disgusting in Luo Ning. Weevil is stupid at any rate, but Miss Ba Jin is the real vicious. Chapter 54 Weevil kicked to the iron plate open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Mom, the people on the warship are so strange, they are different from the ones I met before. Weevil, who had a snotty nose, saw the people on the warship and asked his mother what was going on with some doubts. It's the jailer costume of Impel Down. The jailer of Impel Down seldom leaves Impel Down, and why is it here? Miss Ba Jin was also taken aback for a moment. She naturally recognized the people in Impel Down, but usually these guys rarely leave Impel Down. Even if they did, they would go to Enel's lobby and Naval Headquarters, and never go to other places. Impel Down. Where is it? Weevil asked a little naively. Idiot, didn't I tell you before? It's a big prison, where Marines are used to detain mortals. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Whatever it is, just grab it. Miss Ba Jin kicked the fool beside him a little angrily, and then he didn't care where the boat was. As long as the person on board is not Marine Admiral, she dares to snatch it. After all, Weevil even chopped off the hand of the former Admiral Zephyr, and incidentally killed the opponent's recruit ship, leaving only 2 recruits. The results of it, it's not like Marine can't fart. To put it bluntly, Zephyr has been ignored. Even though Zephyr has cultivated a lot of talents for Marine, Marine still doesn't pay attention to him. Otherwise, with Marine's intelligence network, Weevil can escape Marine's gaze. Don't be ridiculous. Weevil's behavior style is also extremely high profile, and he has never meant to hide, so the Miss Ba Jin has become more and more arrogant. I see. Weevil directly raised the naginata in his hand, and then jumped towards the warship with a sudden jump. Weevil's height was close to 7 meters, 6 meters 8, taller than Whitebeard's 666. In fact, this point shows that he is unlikely to be Whitebeard's son, because when Whitebeard was young, his height was about the same as that of a normal person, not so exaggerated. Whitebeard's height grew up later. So Weevil doesn't quite fit Whitebeard's son at this point. He even rushed over on his own initiative. Luo Ning didn't intend to send these guys to Impel Down. Weevil is a fool, and there is nothing good in sending them there. With Weevil's strength, he would be imprisoned on the 6th floor. And he just came out. With Weevil's strange strength, the warship can't hold him, and it's impossible to go back, so it can only be solved here. As for Miss Ba Jin, this guy can be sent to a big prison. This old woman is extremely vicious. Her strength is not good, everything depends on Weevil. As long as Weevil is gone, the warship can still easily detain this guy. Advertisement. Looking at Weevil's falling body, Luo Ning's Reiatsu gathered into a giant fist and hit Weevil directly. Weevil's body had no point of force in midair, and was directly blasted into the seawater by this punch, but it's a pity that this guy is not a fruit-capable person, otherwise he would have been useless by now. To be honest, the current Luo Ning is simply the nemesis of all ability users, because he can imagine seawater, even if it is only temporarily, it is enough for him to easily kill any ability user. Weevil. Miss Ba Jin stared at Weevil when he saw Weevil being thrown into the sea, and looked at this scene in disbelief. However, Weevil quickly jumped out of the sea and onto the deck. The punch just now did not cause substantial damage to Weevil, but it broke half of his beard. Mom, I'm fine. Weevil immediately reported to his mother that he was safe. Then he looked at the warship again, and then jumped on it again. This time, he directly raised the naginata in his hand. Weevil is not a swordsman, but he has terrifying power. The naginata in his hand collided with Reiatsu's fist, and then exploded. Weevil's body directly hit their boat, smashing a huge hole in the boat, and Luo Ning's side, it was just Reiatsu that broke out, so it didn't affect them. No, the boat is sinking, put the boat down quickly. Miss Ba Jin was shocked when she saw this scene. She never expected that her son would crash the boat, so they boarded the boat quickly. Because the hole was too big, they didn't have time to pack their things. The treasure and various supplies on board just sank into the sea. Who is Weevil, who is nearly 7 meters tall? It's no wonder the ship didn't sink so quickly after such a big hole was dropped. This time, without waiting for Weevil to rush out, Luo Ning fell directly to the surface of the sea, supported himself with Reiatsu, and would not sink. In fact, he can also imagine that he has the ability to walk on water, but it is not necessary, Reiatsu can do it himself, why waste fantasy? As for Weevil, he had already stepped on a plank that fell from the boat at this moment, but with his weight, the plank was sinking all the time, unable to support his weight. Chapter 55 Flying Sandbags, Absolute Power Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. I'm going to kill you. It's true that Weevil is a tough guy, but such a tough guy is the easiest to be irritated. Now Weevil is extremely angry. He was thrown into the sea several times and the ship sank. It's no wonder he isn't angry. However, he doesn't know how strong Luo Ning's power is, and Weevil has no foothold at the moment, so he can't exert much power if he has it. Luo Ning used his speed to come to Weevil in a dodge. At this moment, he had already fantasized about the abilities of speed, strange power and the Man of Steel. Boom. With an extremely dull bang, Weevil's body was directly blasted into the sky, but this was not the end. Luo Ning's figure also disappeared quickly, reappeared behind Weevil, and punched Weevil hard again. Weevil's body was blown away again. Several times in a row, Weevil's body flew in the sky like a flying sandbag. Although his body was strong, Luo Ning's strange power was hard for even Garp to resist, let alone Weevil. Luo Ning's fist landed on him, and the bones in Weevil's body were quickly broken, but this also made Luo Ning sigh with emotion. This guy's body is really like a monster. His physical strength surpassed that of too many people, and Luo Ning's old punch only caused him such a small injury. But Luo Ning didn't panic, he just used it as a sandbag anyway, just like that. The continuous attack lasted for about a minute. After Luo Ning stopped, Weevil was no longer in human form at this moment. Of course, his life was gone too, all the bones in his body were shattered by Luo Ning within this minute. Luo Ning didn't inject fantasy power into his body, it's unnecessary, and such a large sandbag, it's impossible not to make good use of it. You must know that Luo Ning's fist can smash a mountain with one fist, but for such a long time against Weevil, this sandbag is quite rare. But now Weevil is no longer in human form, and he is also dead, and he will not be able to do evil in the sea in the future. Weevil, what's wrong with you? Seeing Weevil's body sinking into the sea without moving, Miss Bajan panicked at this moment. His confidence was Weevil. Now that Weevil was gone, she was naturally very frightened. Don't call me an old woman, this guy is already dead and he can't do it anymore. Being buried in the sea is also the home of pirates. As for you, unfortunately, you will be sent to the deep sea prison in the future. How long you can live is up to you. It's over. After Luo Ning dropped a sentence, as soon as Reiatsu let go, all the people on the boat fainted in an instant, and were caught by the jailers in the cell of the cabin. Advertisement. Today, this guy should be a powerful guy. It took Mr. Luo Ning to beat him for such a long time before he was killed. At this moment, the guards were also a little startled by the encounter with Haza this time. They naturally knew Luo Ning's strength, and it was truly terrifying to let Luo Ning fight for so long. The jailers returned to chatting, and then quickly reported the situation here. After all, such pirates are relatively rare. Naval Headquarters quickly searched and found Weevil's information, which made Sengoku a little ashamed. After all, they all knew Weevil cut off Zephyr's arm. They also just looked for Weevil and the others at the beginning. But Weevil and the others were very thieves at the time, knowing that it would be a big deal to hurt Zephyr, so they found a place to hide. As a result, Marine gave up after not finding it for a while, and just offered a reward. And Zephyr wasn't Admiral anymore at that time, so Marine's attention was focused on some big pirates, and gradually he forgot about it. Although Zephyr mentioned it later, Marine's combat power was already tight, and Weevil couldn't win except for Admiral. There were only 3 admirals in total, so this matter was delayed again and again, and Zephyr temporarily gave up. For such a Marine, Zephyr was actually a little disheartened. It was not until now that Weevil was killed that Sengoku and others remembered this matter. I didn't expect that the person who killed this guy was not from our Marine, please tell Zephyr about this. Crane was also very helpless. Although Marine did not do this, at least it killed Weevil, and at least gave Zephyr some comfort. The current Zephyr did not leave Marine, but after Weevil was invited to join Shichibukai later, Zephyr left Marine. Shichibukai said that it belongs to the world government, but to put it bluntly, it is still managed by Marine. The world government just issued an order and let Marine figure out a solution by himself. In fact, as long as Sengoku and others are a little smarter and find an opportunity to kill Weevil, they will be completely fine without anyone noticing. It is actually very good to exchange a Weevil for Zephyr. After all, Zephyr is an instructor trained by Marine's recruits. The value is not comparable to that of a pirate, but unfortunately they did not do this. Chapter 56 Flying directly to Sky Island. Open black lens bracket collection. Close black lens bracket. Already arrived at Gaia Island, what shall we do now? After the warship arrived at Gaia Island, Nami asked curiously. The next thing is my job, our goal is not here. As Luo Ning said, the power of fantasy poured into the hull of the ship, and then the ship floated into the air and flew towards the sky. The ship is flying again, where is this going? Nami looked puzzled, why did he still fly into the sky, there were thick clouds above. Sky Island, this is our goal. After Luo Ning finished speaking, everyone was stunned for a moment. There are many people who know the rumors about Sky Island, but few believe it. After all, Sky Island is too illusory, and to be honest, not many people can live return. The road up to Sky Island is far more treacherous than going down the red line to New World. Luffy and others took advantage of the rising current, which is like a pillar of heaven. There are really many miracles in the world of pirates. Of course, this is not the only way to board Sky Island, but according to Gon Foer, this method is either full arrival or full death, which is a very risky method. As for the other means, Luo Ning is not clear, but it seems that the possibility of boarding is also very small. But Luo Ning doesn't need to wait for things like rising currents, he can directly control the ship to fly into the air, and Luffy to Sky Island. The situation of Vice Admiral Sky Island explained Luo Ning's upward flight. It was also at this time that the ship had reached an altitude of several thousand meters and directly penetrated the clouds, but this layer was the White Sea. The ocean suspended in the air, Luo Ning used Reiatsu to isolate the water of the White Sea, he didn't want to become a drowned chicken. In this way, the ship came to the White Sea, which is 7,000 meters away from the sea surface. It's unbelievable that there is an ocean above the clouds. Is this Sky Island? But why is there only a vast expanse of whiteness? Nami and the others looked around curiously. It's not there yet. The location of Sky Island is 10,000 meters above the ground, and here, it's only 7,000 meters away. It still needs to go up. As Luo Ning said, he directly controlled the boat and flew towards the gate of heaven. Well, there is an entrance here, which is really drunk, and there is a fee. And the comparison between the currency here and Bailey's conversion is really weird to the extreme. Bailey is worthless enough, but the currency on it is even more worthless. It seems to be called Ace Ancient Coins. Compared with Bailey, the conversion is 10,000 to 1. Anyway, it was completely worthless currency, and Luo Ning didn't care, after all, he didn't intend to pay any ticket money. Advertisement. He didn't even wait for the old woman inside to come out, and directly controlled the boat to fly up. As for the express shrimp, he didn't need it. The ship just flew over like this, and the old woman inside was also dazed when she came out with the shell. She only had time to take pictures of the ship, and as for the people on board, none of them were photographed. The news quickly reached the priest. And Luo Ning and others easily came to the Bye-Bye Sea above 10,000 meters and came to Sky Island. It's really a vast expanse of whiteness as far as the eye can see. Looking at these white clouds, Nami felt that this place was really like a scene described in a fairy tale. The clouds here are so special that you can stand directly on them. Luo Ning said that he didn't know what kind of substance it was, and it was so special. Really, it can support a person's weight. Nami tried it on the clouds, and it was indeed able to support people to walk. As for the jailers, they didn't leave. After all, they are well-trained jailers, so they naturally don't want to enjoy themselves. Okay, I want to play later, let's deal with business first. Sky Island can indeed play here for a few days, but now, he has to deal with Enel. Enel's thunder fruit is what he needs, so Enel can only contribute. In fact, there is another fruit that is more suitable for Nami, and that is the golden fruit. However, in terms of safety and combat power, thunder fruit is better, so Luo Ning focuses on thunder fruit. As for gold, he can make as much as he wants, so he doesn't need golden fruits. Of course, if the two kinds of fruits are placed in front of Nami, it is estimated that Nami will not choose the golden fruit, and even Nami's development of the golden fruit is estimated to be very fast. Luo Ning reckoned that if Nami ate the golden fruit, she would be awakened without much effort. You wait here. Luo Ning gave orders to the jailers, and the jailers didn't talk nonsense about it, they would not disobey Luo Ning's meaning. But Luo Ning also fantasized about a special being staying here, just in case. It is mainly people from Qinghai who can't exert much strength, and their normal actions will not have much impact. But once fighting, there is not much power to resist. So Luo Ning fantasized about an unaffected guy here. After all, the ship is also his, and he brought the people here. Chapter 57 God's Judgment Open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. The special life body left by Luo Ning has a certain combat power. Although it is not very strong, it is extremely easy to deal with the priest and the priest's subordinates. In addition, there is a most special place, which has the effect of a lightning rod. The thunder and lightning can be exported, and Luo Ning doesn't know if Enel will directly blast over with a thunderbolt, so it's better to be prepared. At this moment, he and Nami came directly to the so-called Island of Gods. Why is the land here completely different from other places? Nami asked with some doubts, but the land here is like the ecological environment on the island below. This was originally part of Gaia Island, but it was washed up directly by the rising current. Luo Ning explained, but Nami was dumbfounded. How is this possible? How much current and impact force is needed to wash up part of the island directly? Nami couldn't believe his ears, no matter how he thought about it, it was abnormal. This is the wonder of the world. It is really incredible that even such an island can be rushed up. Luo Ning shook his head, and at the same time as his words fell, a thunderbolt suddenly fell from the sky, and the target was the two of them. Even the priests didn't send out the thunder directly. Luo Ning was stunned for a moment. Didn't Enel usually let his younger brothers do it first? Why did you do it right this time? Is it because he is flying in the sky? Thunder falls, but Luo Ning releases Reiatsu directly, and Reiatsu rushes up. Thunder is directly blasted away by Reiatsu. Why did it suddenly thunder? Nami was taken aback, and the thunder was fine. The thunder was still aimed at her and Luo Ning. This is my goal this time. Thunder fruit ability user. His fruit is very suitable for you. Luo Ning's words stunned Nami for a moment. I remember that once the devil fruit is eaten by someone, if you want to get it again, you need the holder to die, and the devil fruit will not appear directly. How do you get it? Nami froze for a moment, and then her face became a little serious. First of all, she also knows the mechanism of devil fruit. She learned it in Impel Down, so it is very difficult to get a fruit. Secondly, the second point, she doesn't want Luo Ning to kill people just because she has a good devil fruit, she doesn't want to do that. I know you will be scruples, but you don't have to feel guilty about this guy, the god of Sky Island is not him. The original god was named Gon 4. His existence is stable and orderly, and he is also loved by people. Advertisement. The current god, named Enel, began to rule brutally after he ate the thunder fruit. If you ask the Aborigines on Sky Island and those who were washed up, what kind of existence is Enel, then it is estimated that the people of Sky Island will want to kill Enel. Luo Ning shook his head. Enel is a tyrant ruler, to put it bluntly, he has a bad temper. But this can't be blamed on Enel. After all, the previous Enel was not very popular, and was even discriminated against in various ways. So Enel can't blame Enel himself for developing such a deformed personality. Of course, it is true that Enel has a bad heart. After eating thunder fruit, he regarded himself as a god. In fact, Enel himself knew that the so-called gods were just powerful people, but he was completely immersed in the dream he had made for himself. Always thought of himself as a real god, and his character is also very unpleasant, basically hated by all Sky Island people. When a god is mixed up to this level, he is also drunk, and Enel directly destroyed his hometown back then. Luo Ning won't say much about this, he knows the truth of persuading others to be kind without others' painstaking efforts. But after letting Nami know this, Nami doesn't feel any guilt. In fact, this kind of nature can be compared to Nami. Their village was enslaved by Arlong and others. Afterwards, Nami not only killed Arlong and others, but also destroyed the entire the Fishman Island by the way. This is the case when the nature is changed, but Nami will definitely not be able to do something like Enel. As for Luo Ning, he probably wouldn't be able to do it himself, but he would never let anyone who insulted him be the culprit. Of course, this is from a perspective that he has not experienced, and he cannot substitute Enel, so he will not say much. But Enel is his target, so he will definitely do it. Saying this now is just so that Nami won't feel too guilty, otherwise he wouldn't even bother to say it. Nami was also silent after hearing about Enel's situation. After all, she had experienced as much as Enel, but she thought she couldn't do Enel's madness. So Nami is silent, which is also the default. Enel, come out. Luo Ning yelled at the sky. He knew that Enel could hear it, and Enel himself would be able to observe Haki. Coupled with the expansion of electromagnetic capabilities, he could hear the sound of the entire Sky Island, and even red mines, which he called for the Heart Network. Chapter 58. The Pain of Soul Damage. Open black lens bracket. Favorite close black lens bracket. The moment Luo Ning finished speaking, a bolt of lightning flashed, and then a figure appeared in midair. People from Qinghai actually know the existence of this god, and even blocked my god's judgment. Enel appeared in front of Luo Ning and Nami, but Enel didn't feel any nervousness at the moment, which was actually quite normal. He didn't think he would be defeated. He has always been invincible, no matter what attack he has any effect on him. Although Luo Ning blocked his god's judgment, he could easily unleash that kind of attack. Any questions? Luo Ning asked with a smile, completely ignoring Enel. Enel's development of the fruit is indeed very good, and the color of knowledge has also been developed to a very strong level, but the problem is that Enel's physical skills are very weak, and secondly, he does not know the existence of armament Haki. Originally purely on the development of fruit, Enel estimated that he could soon catch up with Aokiji and others who had just become admiral. Enel can't compare with the current Aokiji and others. After all, they have been admiral for a long time, and they have been constantly improving during this period. Although Enel's thunder fruit is strong, its development is not as good as others. Not to mention, although the three admirals have shortcomings, they are not weak even if they are shortcomings. Zephyr has always said that Kizaru and others rely too much on their own abilities, but even so, in other respects Kizaru and others are above the general vice admiral. Not everyone can touch porcelain. Enel was overwhelmed in all aspects except knowledge and fruit ability. My vision is still too low, otherwise I wouldn't be completely satisfied just because of my current appearance. What's the problem? Of course there is a problem. Qinghai people, you are really arrogant enough. Do you think that if you block my move, you will be invincible? Enel let out a piercing laugh. It was a weird kind of laugh. Enel's laugh was a ha 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 laugh, but it was much better than the other weirder ones. The people in Pirate World laughed strangely. 30 million volts Thunderbird. The big drum behind Enel burst out a burst of thunder, and then a Thunderbird in the shape of a phoenix appeared, rushing towards Luo Ning and Nami. Fantasy. Insulation. Luo Ning stood in front of Nami, imagining the insulation ability directly. Enel's Thunderbird hit him, and there was no reaction at all. Luo Ning's body actually didn't react at all to resist such tricks, but he was not a masochist, so he just imagined to insulate himself, so that the thunder and lightning would be useless to him. Advertisement. As for the high temperature and the like, he can easily bear it. In the past, Luo Ning remembered that many people expressed that it was abnormal that Luffy, a rubber man, could withstand Enel's lightning. Although it was conductive, the high temperature that erupted could also kill Luffy, a rubber man. But Luffy is not just rubber. Luffy is a rubber fruit ability user, and he is also a demon fruit power, not ordinary rubber, so isn't it normal to do such a thing? Useless. 60 million volts Brontosaurus. Enel increased the lightning release, but after the lightning hit Luo Ning, it was useless at all, and Nami, who was protected by Luo Ning, did not respond at all. This irritated Enel a little. Why can you resist my lightning? Enel couldn't understand that no matter how tough the opponent was, he would still be injured no matter how hard he resisted his tricks, but the clothes on the opponent's body didn't change at all, which was too much. Regarding Enel's disbelief, Luo Ning didn't say much, but directly punched Enel. He wrapped his hands with Reiatsu. Enel is a Logia-capable person. Luo Ning doesn't know Haki, so he can't hit the body, but his attack is aimed at the soul. Seeing Luo Ning rushing over, Enel's body became elemental, and he wasn't worried that he would be injured at all. One of his arms was directly smashed by Luo Ning's punch. However, Enel, who didn't care at all in the next second, changed his face drastically, and his arm recovered quickly, but he screamed while clutching his arm. At this moment, his arm is considered useless. When Luo Ning attacked Aokiji, he hit Aokiji in the abdomen, which is actually good, except for the severe pain. Aokiji was not affected much. But the limbs and the head are quite different. Once the soul of these important parts is damaged, it will lose control. Now Enel's arm is intact, but he can't control it because the soul of his arm has been severed by Luo Ning. An arm without a soul cannot be used at all. Even if the nerve connection is intact, it is still useless. The soul is the essence, and the severe pain caused by the broken arm of the soul is not something ordinary people can bear. Enel does not have the steely willpower of Aokiji. At this moment, she was clutching her arm and screaming, what a miserable cry. Chapter 59. Pinch Explosion Thunder Welcome Open black lens bracket Favorite close black lens bracket. This scream belongs to Enel, right? Why did he make such a scream? And since just now, there have been noises of thunder from there. Could it be that someone has done something to Enel? But how did he do it? Quote. Ganfort, who was riding on his own horse, was constantly rushing towards the place where the thunder and lightning erupted. He was a god of the past and a god who loved his people, but he became a mercenary because he couldn't defeat Enel. In the original book, Luffy and others were given a whistle, and he would come to save people when he blew it, but it cost 5 million to blow it, which is 500 Baileys in conversion, which can be said to be quite cheap. Not only Ganfort, but also several priests under Enel are also rushing towards Enel's direction. Enel is a god, an invincible existence in their minds, but now this god has made such a scream, which is totally beyond their comprehension. They also don't know what method can hurt Enel. Enel is an invincible body of thunder, any attack is useless to Enel. When they arrived, Enel had already fallen to the ground at this moment. The pain of tearing his soul made Enel clutch his arms, and the veins on his forehead bulged. He has tried his best not to let out a scream, but the severe pain has been torturing his nerves. It seems that your priests have also arrived. Enel, you made a fool of yourself in front of your subordinates. Looking at Enel, Luo Ning shook his head. He subconsciously compared this product with Aokiji, but there is no comparison at all. Although Thunder Fruit is called the most popular Logia fruit, it still depends on the ability of the developer. There is no invincible ability, only invincible ability users, unless the holder is extremely powerful from the beginning, such as Sabo. Otherwise, abilities are developed little by little. God, are you okay? Seeing Enel become like this, several priests were startled. They had never seen Enel in such a mess before. Someone actually defeated Enel. Gamfer, who appeared on a bird or horse mount, also widened his eyes. It was the first time he saw Enel in such a mess. Damn it, what did you do to me? Enel couldn't understand what happened to him, why his arm couldn't move, and there was such severe pain, obviously his arm wasn't hurt at all. Your vision is too poor. In Qinghai, there is an ability called Armament Hockey, which is designed to deal with Logia ability users like you. Of course, Seawater and Seastone can also be used, but your ability is more difficult. The other two are against you are basically useless. Luo Ning shook his head. Enel's mind network can even read minds, so it is completely impossible to use the other two things against him. Advertisement. Armament Hockey. Are you using Armament Hockey? Enel never expected that Qinghai would have such tricks to deal with an invincible existence like himself. No, you misunderstood a little. I'm talking about mass means. As for Armament Hockey, I don't know how to deal with you, but I have another unique way to deal with you. Of course, there is no need to explain it to you. Luo Ning didn't bother to say anything, there was nothing to talk about with a dead person. Damn it, you dare to insult me like this, go to hell. Enel was also jealous at the moment, completely ignoring it, and a huge thunder ball fell from the sky. This move is one of the strongest moves that Enel can unleash. Lei Ying, compared to Wan Lei, this move is more suitable for single target attacks. It has a large range and is extremely powerful. As for Thor, Enel can't release it at all now, and it is already good to be able to release Lei Ying. As for moves like Wan Lei, they are similar to big moves like Ice Age and Meteor Volcano. These powerful fruit users can generally unleash large-scale AoE attacks. No, I'm going to be involved. Ganfer and several priests were startled, but it was too late to leave now. The coverage of this move was quite large, and they were not allowed to run out at all. Enel was out of his mind at the moment, and whoever was here, he was going to kill them. If it wasn't for a little preparation, I wouldn't let you release your big move. Luo Ning didn't have time to create a lot of fruit, so he didn't kill Enel, which allowed him to unleash his ult. However, in the next second a huge hand rushed into the sky. This palm was bigger than the whole island. Lei Ying was like a small marble in front of this hand. The palm directly pinched the thunderball, and immediately after exerting force, the thunderball exploded. However, in front of this hand, no waves could be turned over, and it was easily wiped out. How is this possible? Ganfort and all the priests were stunned at the moment, including Enel, who looked a little funny in shock. Chapter 60. Fruits covering the island's open black lens bracket collection close black lens bracket. Too strong, completely surpassing Enel, the two are not of the same magnitude at all. Ganfer looked at Luo Ning with a look of horror. Ganfer was stunned by the opponent's methods. If that giant hand slapped him, he had no doubt that this place would be turned into ruins, and the whole island would be destroyed by this attack. Slapped into pieces. Okay. Now you can get down to business, you'd better pass out first, so as not to cause me any trouble. Luo Ning directly knocked Enel unconscious. Because of the severe pain, Enel couldn't even maintain elementalization. Fantasy. Luo Ning activated the power of fantasy, and fruit-like raindrops suddenly appeared in the sky, in various shapes. A large number of fruits fell from the sky, as if it was raining fruit. As this, fruit, and it's real. Gamfer caught a piece of fruit and took a bite, and found that it was indeed a fruit. He can be sure that it was done by Luo Ning, but how did Luo Ning do it? And what is the reason for doing this? He can't understand. However, Luo Ning would not answer their questions, but continued to fantasize that more and more fruits began to pile up, and gradually covered the earth, adding up continuously. According to this posture, it is estimated that the island will soon be endless fruit cover. However, Luo Ning has not stopped. The more fruits there are, the higher the probability of thunder fruit regenerating around. And there are all kinds of shapes, which increases the probability. Luo Ning's Reiatsu is also consumed quite a bit until the entire island is completely covered in fruit. Even if it is the most common fruit, it is not easy to manifest so many in one go. What exactly do you want to do, Your Excellency? Why are you making so much fruit? Ganfort really couldn't figure it out, but Luo Ning gave him the answer. The spike formed by Reiatsu pierced Enel's head directly, and Enel died. Luo Ning didn't make a particularly bloody mess, after all, there are girls here. After Enel died, Luo Ning's perception expanded to the entire island, and he could see the changes of any fruit. Yes, soon Luo Ning discovered that a fruit had changed and turned into a devil fruit with a strange shape. What does thunder fruit look like? Luo Ning doesn't know, and there has never been a picture of thunder fruit before. But he can be sure that this should be thunder fruit, there is no such a coincidence. Enel just died, and this fruit appeared here, so there shouldn't be any problems if nothing else happens. Luo Ning picked out the fruit directly. Is this the fruit that Enel ate before? Ganfer asked with some doubts. He knew devil fruit, after all his mount also ate the fruit. Advertisement. It should be. Nami, here it is. Luo Ning threw the fruit in his hand to Nami, and Nami did not refuse. After all, Luo Ning spent a lot of effort to get this fruit for her this time. It was another fruit that defeated a so-called god and created an entire island. It would be too much if she didn't eat it. Vomit. However, after taking a bite, Nami began to retch. This thing is too bad to eat. One bite is enough, you don't need to eat too much. Seeing that Nami was about to take a second bite, Luo Ning reminded her. As soon as Nami heard it, he threw the fruit in his hand on the ground. It's too unpalatable, how can there be such an unpalatable thing in this world? Nami looked at the fruit on the ground with disgust, she had never eaten such an unpalatable thing. I heard that this thing tastes worse than shit, and I don't know which warrior has tasted it. Luo Ning said with a smile, this kind of saying is widely circulated in the world of pirates, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that it is wrong. How can I make such a comparison without eating it? So the person who said this sentence must have eaten it. Can you get any more disgusting? Nami almost vomited it out, it was already disgusting, but now that he said this again, it was a miracle that he didn't vomit it out. Zzz. Just when Nami couldn't help retching, suddenly there were multiple electric arcs on her body. Wow, there is an electric current. Nami was taken aback by herself, after all, there was a sudden electric shock on her body. It's normal, people who just ate devil fruit can't use their abilities well, just practice for a while. Luo Ning didn't really care about it, this is a normal phenomenon, you must know that even Sabo, after eating Mara fruit, would occasionally lose control of his abilities. Not to mention Nami, so Nami will try to train her abilities next. Nami's potential itself is not weak, and the thunder fruit has expanded this point even more. As long as Nami is not too lazy, not to mention growing to the Admiral level, but the Admiral alternate level is definitely possible. I know, I will work hard to master this power. At this moment, Nami is also controlling some electric arcs that are constantly swimming in her hands, all of which are very novel to her. Chapter 61 Sky Island Vacation Open black lens bracket Favorites close black lens bracket. Your Excellency, are you going to become the new god of Sky Island? Enel was dead, and was easily killed by Luo Ning. Enel's strength alone has already made Ganfer despair. As for Luo Ning's strength, it is even higher than Enel. Ganfer doesn't know Luo Ning's thoughts now. However, as the leader in the past, he had to figure out the opponent's plan. If Luo Ning was more brutal than Enel, then Ganfer really didn't know what to do. God, I'm not interested in being the village chief here. You can do whatever you want, but let me remind you that if you want to be the god again, you'd better find a way to bring people from both sides together to have a good chat. After all, they are all people who live on Sky Island, and they can't see each other without looking up. The relationship between the two parties should not be too rigid. Luo Ning doesn't intend to be the village head here, but Ganfer's deterrence is not enough. Although Ganfer becomes a god again, he will be recognized by everyone, but he must resolve the conflict here. There was a common enemy Enel before, and everyone was thinking about how to defeat Enel, and those who had no resistance could only accept Enel's rule. But there are many people looking forward to someone who can beat Enel. Now that Enel has finally died, it is only a matter of time before Ganfer returns to power. As for how to solve it afterwards, it is up to him. Luo Ning is too lazy to take care of their affairs, but this Sky Island is indeed a good place, and he can send people to Sky Island to take refuge in whatever happens in the future. Even if Marine and others want to come to Sky Island to do things, only Kizaru can easily come up, as for others, it is almost impossible. The height of Sky Island is a natural barrier, which is much more reliable than the 10,000-meter deep sea of the Fishman Island. As Luo Ning thought, he and Nami did not leave here directly, but stayed here for a while. After all, some special products of Sky Island are still very good. Although he had seen these things in comics before, when they really appeared in front of his eyes, Luo Ning was naturally curious, and the jailers also got off the boat. Sengoku naturally also received the news, but Sengoku didn't care much about the existence of Sky Island. After all, there is not only one Sky Island, and Marine also has records about Sky Island. But what Sengoku cares about is that Nami has acquired the ability of Thunder Fruit, which is what surprised Sengoku the most. How did he get the Thunder Fruit? Does he have a way to turn the abilities of the capable user into a fruit? Advertisement. The jailers in Sky Island naturally also know the situation of Sky Island. Enel's name can be known by just asking. Enel is a person with the ability of Thunder Fruit. But in the end, Enel died, and the ability of Thunder Fruit fell on Nami. If you think about it, you can know that Luo Ning has such ability, otherwise it is impossible to explain Nami's ability of Thunder Fruit. In fact, the method of using fruit is purely luck, but Luo Ning has magnified the base many times, so it leads to a high probability of Thunder Fruit brushing by his side. Of course, it doesn't matter even if you don't brush it by your side. Luo Ning has a compass in his hand, and the compass can point to the location of the Thunder Fruit. In short, what Luo Ning wants can basically not escape the palm of his hand. With the compass in hand, I have the world. However, after Sengoku got the news, he thought it was no coincidence. Luo Ning must have mastered some method to transfer Thunder Fruit's ability to Nami. Of course, it is impossible for Sengoku to know. Luo Ning warned Ganfor and others when he left the Island of God, and eliminated the fruit he created. Although the created fruit is physical, it will not disappear if you break the illusion, but it is something created by Luo Ning after all. If Luo Ning did it deliberately, it could still be eliminated. So the matter of the fruit did not come out, and the jailers naturally could not inquire about such news. Sky Island's gold Luo Ning has no interest, but he rubbed the content of the historical text, which is a good thing to attract Robin. Luo Ning plans to find Robin next, but with Robin's character, if she wants to stay beside Luo Ning willingly, only the historical text has such attraction. Luo Ning didn't move the golden bell away, it wasn't necessary, he just took the rubbings of the historical text. It's a bit miraculous to say it, but the historical text on Sky Island actually records the news about Poseidon. No matter how you look at it, it's strange. Shouldn't the records about Poseidon be in the Fishman Island? Sky Island should record the situation about Uranus. Luo Ning, the big snake on Sky Island, didn't deal with it, anyway, he was a native creature here. As for the gold, Luo Ning didn't care much about it. If he thought about it, he could produce a large amount of gold, which was even more terrifying than Tezolos, but it was unnecessary. Chapter 62 Alabasta Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. Luo Ning took Nami to stay in Sky Island for about a month, during which time he helped Nami develop his ability besides vacation. Luo Ning didn't let Nami get a few drums on him, it's boring. However, some tricks can indeed be learned from Enel, such as Wan Lei, Lei Ying and Thor. Of course, these are big moves, and the current Nami can't use them at all. One is that his physical strength is not enough, and the other is that his ability development is not enough. The awakening of the Logia fruit ability user should be the solidification ability, and the awakening of Paramesha can affect the surrounding things, but Logia, refer to Aokiji and Akainu. The battle between Aokiji and Akainu changed the environment of an island forever. If they only use their abilities, the magma will eventually cool down and the ice will eventually melt. But what about the result? The result is that the environment of an entire island is permanently changed. Logia's determination should be to solidify the ability, and truly incarnate nature. As for Kizaru, well, Luo Ning really can't imagine what Kizaru will become when his ability awakens, he can't become Ultraman, right? Nami can only release hundreds of thousands of volts of electricity now, and the tricks released are not as good as Enel's little trick. This is also something that can't be helped, after all, Nami's strength is not as good as Enel's, and his age and physical fitness are not strong. Nami couldn't hold on to the power of hundreds of thousands of volts for a short while, but he learned to elementalize. Elementalization is the most basic skill of Logia. It is not difficult for Nami to learn, and the compatibility between Thunderfruit and Nami is indeed very high, so Nami can master it very quickly. Now Nami's development of abilities has been hindered by his own physical strength. As the saying goes, how much water a bucket can hold does not depend on the longest board, but the shortest board. Nami's physical strength is the short board. This can only be improved slowly by oneself and accumulated over time. When Luo Ning and others left, Ganfort also brought people from Sky Island. He became a god again and resolved the conflicts on Sky Island. Now this is the new Sky Island. The ship does not need the help of the octopus balloon on Sky Island. Luo Ning controls the ship to fly away from Sky Island, and then heads towards Alabasta. The next target was Robin. The ship descended slowly until it came to the surface of the sea. Luo Ning did not control the ship and kept flying, except in some very harsh environments. Alabasta is also a very old country, but the current Alabasta seems to be in turmoil. Nami also checked some information after knowing that the next stop was Alabasta. Advertisement. The plot has not yet started, Luffy has not gone to sea, and the turmoil in Alabasta has not reached the level in the original book, but there has been no rain in other areas for several months. K-Lock-Dar has already let people release the news, saying that King Cobra used dancing powder to absorb all the surrounding rainwater, so there was no rainwater in other areas at all. This has been going on for a few months, so there is already some unrest within Akabastan right now. As for the culprit of everything, Lock-Dar, because the internal turmoil is not the outbreak of war, so he is busy defeating the pirates who came to Alabasta, and shaping the image of a hero. In fact, K-Lock-Dal is not extremely stupid, he also knows how to create a positive image and use this to gain public opinion. It's just that this guy ignored the most crucial point, which is strength. As long as he has enough strength, then K-Lock can go directly to the palace to find the historical text and ask Robin to translate it. There is no need to play so many bells and whistles, look at Brother Ming, directly pull down the king and become the king himself. In comparison, K-Lock-Dal is much worse. Otherwise, with Clock-Dal's ability, he can play 120 points in Alabasta. Don't worry about the turmoil, I know who the culprit here is. Luo Ning smiled, this Shichibukai plan has helped these big pirates a lot. Brother Ming and Lock-Dar's unscrupulous messing around was not because of Shichibukai's plan. In the current Shichibukai, the only good ones are Shang, Jinbei and Hawkeye. One is an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army, the other is defending his own country, and the other is traveling around looking for opponents to fight against each other, doing whatever he wants. As for other things, Lao Sha and Brother Ming will not talk about it. Hancock is also robbing everywhere, and Moria makes zombies in his hometown, but he will destroy any ships that enter there. All in all, there are good and bad things in Shichibukai. All of this is the result of the world government's laissez-faire. As a time traveler, Luo Ning does not have the slightest liking for such a world government. Maybe he will help Long and the others in the future. After all, he thinks Long and the others are quite good, at least much more pleasing to the eye than the Revolutionary Army in the Red Killing World. The Revolutionary Army in the Red Killing World is just a group of ambitious guys. Chapter 63 Luo Ning's terrifying body open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. It's so hot, the environment changes instantly. After landing in Alabasta, Nami was completely annoyed by the weather here. There was nothing he could do. Alabasta is a desert country, and the climate here is naturally extremely hot during the day. This made Nami unable to adapt for a while. Just bear with it. After all, it is a desert country. The desert on the sea is really interesting. Luo Ning didn't feel anything at all. At his level, the cold and heat were no longer invading, and he didn't even need to use the power of fantasy. This is all thanks to freedom. Freedom Luo Ning is generally used to strengthen Reiatsu and physical fitness. Physical fitness is a blessing in all aspects. This caused Luo Ning's body to reach a very terrifying level. In the world of pirates, it seems that everyone's body is as strong as a monster, but in a relaxed state, only a small number of people are special. For example, steel balloons like Big Mom can't be pierced at all. But someone as strong as Roger, without deliberate defense, the skin will still be directly pierced by the knife. Garp will also be hacked with an axe and bleed. Kazuki Oden can't handle the high temperature of frying, but what about Luo Ning? He can now easily swim in lava. Normal magma can't break through his defense at all. Of course, Akainu is not as simple as scalding people with magma, but has many tricks. That kind of impact combined with Akainu's magma is naturally very terrifying. But Luo Ning has indeed reached the point where the cold and heat are not invaded, so these harsh environments are nothing in front of Luo Ning. Let the jailers wait on the boat. Luo Ning doesn't plan to stay in Alabasta for too long, his goal is just pure Robin. So I took Nami and the two to the rainy land quickly. Now Nami can be elementalized and moves very fast. After all, Thunder Fruit's movement speed is not lower than that of Kizaru, but Kizaru's speed cannot really reach the speed of light. Nami is naturally the same, but now Nami's movement speed is also very fast, but her physical strength is flawed, and she has consumed a lot of physical strength after rushing to the rainy ground. Luo Ning has nothing to do about this for the time being. Physical strength is a weak point for girls, and Nami can't compare with Luffy's monster physique. Luffy has inherited Garp's monster physique. So Luffy improves very fast, Nami can't compare, so he can only improve slowly by himself. A devil fruit has already given Nami a lot of hooks. Luo Ning, who has a compass, directly found Robin's location. Now Robin has not left, but has been staying with K-Lock Doll. She believes that K-Lock Doll has the strength to protect her. Looking back on the first half of Robin's life, it is simply a tragedy among tragedies. Advertisement. Before she was 8 years old, her mother put her directly at a relative's house for archaeological purposes, but she was bullied every day. After the age of 8, Buster Call destroyed everything about her, and he also carried a bounty of 79 million. Up until now, Robin has been in constant betrayal and betrayal. Robin is much worse than Nami. And Aokiji has been staring at Robin, but Aokiji is a bit strange, although his purpose is to observe and protect Robin, but Robin's situation is so bad that it is difficult to find a real shelter. In short, Robin's whole life is properly the embodiment of tragedy. Follow the compass Luo Ning to the casino made by K-Lock Doll. Please faint for a while. Luo Ning released a wave of Reiatsu, and the terrifying pressure spread in all directions. He deliberately suppressed his own strength, only to make these ordinary people faint. This wave of coercion passed, and also woke up K-Lock Doll and others in the office. Conqueror's Hockey. Why does Conqueror's Hockey appear here? Lock Doll obviously knew about Conqueror's Hockey, but he didn't experience it much himself. His only reaction was Conqueror's Hockey, and he couldn't perceive the subtleties like those old powerhouses. You know, Reiatsu is a force completely above Conqueror's Hockey. And it is aimed at the soul, which is somewhat different from Conqueror's Hockey. K-Lock Doll quickly came out with his men who were still awake, and then saw Luo Ning and Nami. Only the two of them were still standing, and the others fainted. Who are you? Regarding Luo Ning's appearance, Marine has blocked it, and Luo Ning has been staying in Impel Down, so there is basically no news about him. Now K-Lock Doll can't recognize Luo Ning at all, otherwise, if the things that Luo Ning has done, if the publicity is spread in all aspects, now Luo Ning is probably famous all over the world. Let me introduce myself, my name is Luo Ning, and I'm here to find Nico Robin. Luo Ning introduced himself with a smile, as if he was visiting as a guest, and there was no trace of hostility at all. Chapter 64 Pluton and Poseidon open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Looking for me, are you from the world government? Robin, who was following behind, was obviously taken aback, and subconsciously thought that you, Luo, were from the world government. Don't get me wrong, we are different from those bastards from the world government. I just intend to recruit you. This is my sincerity. Luo Ning threw a roll of paper directly to Robin. Robin also dodged quickly, thinking it was some kind of weapon, but he was stunned when he found out that it was a roll of paper, and then opened the roll of paper with his own fruit ability. To be honest, Robin's fruit is really weird. It is said to be called flower fruit, but it has nothing to do with flowers. Robin can condense certain parts of the body in other places, arms, legs and even eyes. When going to Sky Island, Luo Bing condensed his eyes on Luffy's hand, and then rescued Usopp. Robin's ability is really amazing, and it is hard to guard against. It is also one of the few abilities that can restrain the barrier fruit of brain-dead fans. This is, after Robin opened the scroll, he was stunned, because it turned out to be a rubbing of a historical text, and the things recorded on it turned out to be about Poseidon. Robin doesn't think this thing is a fake, because she is the only person who can read the text of history on the surface. The reason why it is explained on the surface is because there must be some hidden things in it, and there are probably such people under the world government. But Robin didn't know that. She thought only people from Ohara would study this kind of ancient writing. But Ohara's people are dead and she is the only one left, so Robin thinks that only he can understand it, and the historical text brought by the other party is obviously not fake. Is this the historical text? What's the content? Lockdoll also saw the content inside, but he couldn't read it. The only one who could read it was Robin. It is indeed a historical text, which records some rumors about Poseidon, but it does not clearly explain what Poseidon is. It just records the ancient weapon Poseidon that existed in ancient times. Robin opened his mouth and said, in fact, what is recorded on it is the location of Poseidon. Robin has already deciphered it, but it has hidden a part. Robin is very smart. Poseidon, an ancient weapon like Pluton. Is there no record of Poseidon's location? Locke's eyes are red. Why is he doing so many things in Alabasta? Isn't it just for Pluton? Now that there are clues of Poseidon, he doesn't think this kind of thing is too much. Advertisement. Since you have taken out this historical text, you must know something, or you have other historical texts in your hands. Lockdoll squinted his eyes. He was eager to get these ancient weapons to defeat Whitebeard. I know the location of ancient weapon, Pluton and Poseidon, and Uranus also has some guesses, but why should I tell you? Seeing K. Lockadar like this, Luo Ning intends to tease this guy. What? Everyone was surprised, including Robin. This historical text records information about Poseidon, but she couldn't understand how Luo Ning knew it. Is there anyone else who can understand the historical text besides her? Is there any problem? Anyway, I took out this thing, I know something is normal. Luo Ning said with a smile. Hand over Poseidon and Pluton's information, and I'll spare your life. Some sand had condensed around K. Lockdoll, and he had to know where these things were. Why bother? I don't know how powerful Pluton is, but some powerful people can indeed destroy an island. As for Poseidon, Poseidon's destructive power is indeed great, but you can't control it even if you find it. Luo Ning said that the destructive power of Pluton is to destroy an island. I don't know what kind of island it is. The smaller ones can easily do it. As for the big ones, such as Alabasta. Luo Ning didn't think that Pluton could blow up this place with one shot. But Poseidon is indeed very powerful. If Shirahoshi uses his full power, he can indeed control the Sea Kings in the sea. If the Sea Kings in the entire sea are controlled by Shirahoshi, then the human living space will be compressed to the limit. Poseidon developed to ultimate seems to have the ability to destroy the world, but what is Shirahoshi's character? It's impossible to do such a thing if you are weak to the extreme. Unless someone can control Shirahoshi's mind and make Shirahoshi obey his orders completely unconsciously. None of these things can be mastered by Clock Doll, so his plan is destined to be nothing. It seems that it is not so easy to casually ask the location of the two weapons, so let's take you down. As K. Lockadar said, the surrounding sand began to surge rapidly. Chapter 65 Mud-like body open black lens bracket favorite close black lens bracket. Sha Lan. A small tornado-like thing appeared in K. Lock's hands. He didn't intend to kill Luo Ning and the others, so he used this attack with a low lethality. Sha Lan quickly became bigger and turned into a storm, but anyone who was involved would probably not have a good time. 100,000 volts, discharge. Before Luo Ning could make a move, Nami first raised his hand and shot out with a 100,000 volt strike. Pikachu stunt, but unfortunately this move still won't kill anyone in Pikachu's hands. Nami shot out an electric shock, blasting towards K. Lockdoll quickly. The electric current hit Clockdoll, just hitting streaks of sand. Thunderbolt. Thunder Fruit ability user. Clockadar was also surprised. As a Logia-capable person, he naturally knew the Thunder Fruit, which is said to be the strongest among Logia, but now Nami is still too weak in his opinion. And Nami's attack can't restrain Lockdoll, can't restrain, can't hockey, can't use Seastone and Seawater. Nami can't do anything about the opponent. You are too weak now, there is nothing you can do about him. In the future, maybe you can use the high temperature generated by lightning to directly burn him into glass, but not yet. Luo Ning shook his head, but directly waved his hand. The speed and strength of the wave made Luo Ning swing a terrifying attack, directly hitting Sha Lan, and Sha Lan was scattered directly. Luo Ning didn't fantasize about superpowers, or even monster power, but simply waved his hand to induce the airflow to cause such a terrifying attack. How is it possible? Is this guy also a capable person? Lockdoll does not believe that his attack will be shattered by a wave of his hand, of course, except for Whitebeard and the like, the shadow caused by Whitebeard to him is too great. He and Moria can be said to be difficult brothers. Back then, one challenged Whitebeard and the other challenged Kaido, but they were both defeated in the end. Ability person. I am not. Luo Ning came to K. Lockdoll, and the distance between them was spanned in the blink of an eye. K. Lockdoll had no time to react, but fortunately his body was in an elemental state. Facing Luo Ning's terrifying punch, his body was directly blown apart and turned into countless sands. It's a terrifying speed. Fortunately, I have maintained elementalization, otherwise that punch just now. Thinking of the scene where the punch hit him just now, Clockdoll couldn't help shivering. Just when K. Lockadar condensed his body again, another person shot at Luo Ning. This person's name is Daz, a paramesha dice fruit-capable person, whose body can be transformed into a sharp blade. At this moment, his fingers had completely turned into sharp blades and grabbed Luo Ning's body. Luo Ning didn't dodge his attack, but put his hand in front of himself, and Daz's attack caught Luo Ning's hand. When? Advertisement. There was the sound of metal impacting, and Daz's attack couldn't break through Luo Ning's defense at all. Lie down honestly. At this moment, Daz had already touched Luo Ning, his body suddenly went limp, and he lay on the ground directly. What's going on? Why can't I move? Daz's face was full of horror at the moment. You'd better not move around, your body has been turned into mud by me. Isn't this a dice fruit-capable person? Luo Ning injected the power of fantasy into the body, turning his body into slime. Now Daz can't gather any strength at all. After all, how can a body like mud stand up? Hiss. Seeing Daz's appearance and Luo Ning's words, everyone dared not act recklessly, for fear that they would become the next one. With a slimy body, Daz can't move casually now. Otherwise, the flesh of the body may directly accumulate to other parts, and then it will be really scary. None of them dared to do anything to Luo Ning. After all, none of them wanted to turn themselves into mud. What kind of ability is this? Crocodile, who also saw this scene, was covered in cold sweat. He is very glad that he is a Logia-capable user, otherwise, if the other party turned his body into this ghostly appearance just now, he might want to die. But if the body becomes like mud, then Daz will be useless. This is the strongest one under his command, and now it has directly become like this. Crocodile, what do you think your abilities are most afraid of? Luo Ning asked with a smile. This question made everyone present a little confused, but Nami flew into the air directly as an element, and she already guessed what Luo Ning was going to do next. As for Robin and the others, although they didn't know what Luo Ning was going to do, they also wanted to leave after seeing Nami's reaction, but they were worried that Luo Ning would directly attack them, so they didn't dare to move casually now. What are you going to do? Lock Doll has a sense of foreboding. It looks like you don't know the answer, so let me tell you, it's liquid. Luo Ning said this sentence with a smile.